That's on me. I had my mic muted. Welcome back to the show. I'm your nerdy host, Annie.
Ooh, hello, Annie. I'm your nerdy
Thanks.
co-host, Spurt Snake.
And thanks for coming back. You know, whether you're a filthy casual, a hardened pro, or a mobile gamer, join us as we rant, rave, and ramble about games that we like and games that we don't like. But as always, we're here to ask the question, what's this game?
Once Human.
And Once Human is a sort of like base building, survival, open world shooter RPG made by Starry Studio. It came out last year officially. It was been in beta for a year before that, so it's been out for about 2 years. But official releases will say 2024. So that's what we're going to go with. The game's been out for about a year. I picked it up about just over its 1 year anniversary. I saw like a little bit of advertising here and there. I saw some cool art, and I picked up a game because I actually confused this game with a different game by a different studio called Project LLL. And it's similar in style and feel. It's a third-person shooter in like a weird apocalypse with sort of eldritch horror vibes, except Project LLL is a lot more like Warframe, where you have like a mech suit and you like customize your suits and armors and stuff like that. At least that's what I understand it to be. And I thought this was that game. So I was like, oh, okay, they must have dropped the name Project LLL and put a real name on it, Once Human. Okay, cool. So I started playing it and I'm like, I don't think this is what I thought it was. And it wasn't in a bad way, honestly. I was totally shocked at how much I enjoyed it from pretty much every aspect. It's, as I said, it's a third-person shooter. So you start the game out, and once you make your character, you start in a cutscene. And I guess you are what's called a metahuman. You're like a radiation-enhanced superhuman. So you have like special powers, and you have like immunity to the radiation that's polluting the island. Well, not immunity, but severe resistance. You can't be infected by it. You can be hurt by it. It can reduce your vitals drastically, but you'll never be like mutated by it, which is part of your metahuman DNA or whatever. So you start the game, and there's like a lab scientist who is just reading off some stats and mentions that he's like putting you back in cryo for whatever reason. I'm guessing they pulled you out to do some experiments, and now they're putting you back in. But something goes wrong. The station that you're on gets hit with like a big blast of Stardust, which is the radiation, and the scientist becomes mutated. The whole thing becomes like things start floating. It just all gets fucked really quickly. So you don't end up going back in cryo, and you're able to remove a like, I don't know, it's like a shard of some sort of thing that is in the shape of a knife that's been implanted in you. I'm guessing it's to sedate you. You pull it out, and then you get walking around. You investigate the lab. You look around, and before you even leave, you find some dead scientists and like a fancy backpack. So you're like, oh, okay, cool. I'm gonna go pick up the fancy backpack. And when you do, things get weird. You like walk into like an alternate dimension of the room you're in, but then you walk out of it. And then when you do and pick up the backpack, there's this, I don't know, he's like a bird made out of dark tendrils. He's like a darkness energy bird. His name is V, and he's kind of like your fairy companion throughout the game, and he also serves as your navigator and your well, not your navigator necessarily. That's kind of the butterfly, but he talks to you, tells about your missions, what's going on, the environments, and he's also your glider. So if you jump off of something and hit jump again, you can pull V out and fly with your little bird, which is pretty cool. I like games with a built-in glider. I think it's a good mechanic. What did you think of this intro sequence?
I'll be honest, I wasn't exactly hooked right away. I liked a lot of things about the intro. It is very mysterious, and you don't get a lot of information. This game doesn't give you tons of lore drop. You kind of have to seek it out. And like you said, yeah, you start out, you meet, you wake up out of cryo, and you run through the tutorial or whatever you want to call it. And you meet Mitsuko. V's there. Yeah, you said he was like your fairy companion. I would say familiar, more or less. Like, you know, you can summon him and he does things for you. And not just in-game things, but like you can open menus and stuff too, which I think is a really neat way to present that. It makes it more fun. You know, you just don't hit start and go to menu every time, even though you can. It makes it keeps the immersion going. The first 30 minutes of this game, if it doesn't hook you right away, still give it a chance anyway, because there's so much more that comes after that, and I'm pretty sure we're going to start getting into that here in a little bit. I was impressed. I like you mentioned, there's eldritch elements, which immediately hooks me because I'm an H.P. Lovecraft fan. It blends science fiction and, I'm going to use the term fantasy. It isn't necessarily like swords and dragons and stuff, but like, you know, I should say this, more fantastical elements than just science fiction. There is a bit of otherworldliness to it, and it's so much fun. I was really, after playing so many hours, I was really engrossed in the lore. I really liked it. The cutscene was, the early on intro to it makes you want to kind of keep going, or at least for me, it made me want to keep going. You know me, I like a good mystery, and there's a ton of it here. And there's definitely no hand holding for story beats.
Yeah, I'd have to definitely agree with you. The story kind of, once you get set out, you have like your main quest that you can follow. Now, let's preface this by saying Once Human is kind of interesting in the way it does its a lot of things, but what I'm specifically talking about is so it has like a world server sort of system, and I'll just explain it from step one. So you log in and you make your character. Before you even make your character, you need to pick what's called a scenario. A scenario is a version of the game that you're playing. So there's a couple main ones. There's Manibus Novice, which is like the starter one. Then there is Way of Winter. There is The Endless Dream. And there is a new one coming out, as well as a slew of PvP ones, including the PvP exclusive one, Raid Zone. It's like basically only PvP. It's kind of like Rust, but different. So once you pick your scenario, you're defaulted into Manibus if you don't pick another one. Manibus Novice, rather. And you're defaulted into that one. And once you do, you start the game, go through the tutorial and all that. Great. Except there's still another like 2 layers to it. Once you pick your scenario, you have to pick a server. If you don't automatically pick one, you'll just get filed into one. So there's like 500 novice servers, and they close after a couple of weeks. So you're not playing on one that's like a year old. But because of that, there's constantly new ones opening up, and if you don't join at the same time as your friend does, it's possible they'll get pushed onto a higher number server because they joined after you, and your server is older, so they're giving them a newer one, which can make it very confusing, because the tutorial for the game didn't tell me that before I started the game. There wasn't like a, hey, this is how our worlds work, this is how the servers work. No, I kind of had to figure it out, and Spurgsnake started after I did, and I was like, okay, this game's pretty cool. I think you might like it. We'll give it a shot. So he joins, makes his character, spends time in the custom creator, and does all that, and then joins, or we're like, okay, cool. So we're going to both find someplace on the map, because I don't know how to work the friend system. Neither of us could figure out. We typed in you have an ID number and a username. Both of those wouldn't add on either of us. I tried to add him through Epic. None of that was working. So I was like, okay, we're just going to walk in front of each other, and then we're just going to pull up a menu and add friend. So it should be easy. So we picked up a town south of where we both spawned, a little overlook town, and we went to like a teleport tower, which are your fast travel points, and it can also be used to switch worlds, because of course there's another layer now. So now you have your scenario, you have your server, now you're in a different world in that scenario server. So I see in the top right, there's a number. It's like number 14 or something like that. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go to the bottom of the list, jump into 15. And then I had Snake jump to 15. We're both in 15. We're both standing in the same spot. We're screen sharing so we can literally see the exact same thing. We're like, why are we not? Dude, why are we not in the same dimension? We did the same thing. So, okay. So that's when we figured out the hard way that you have to make sure you're in the same server, the same world, and the same scenario. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you're not playing with your friend. You just can't. It's not even an option. Which is one of the first big negative things I have to say about this game. You guys need to get your server shit figured out. That thing is way too confusing.
I agree. I'm sorry. I almost cut you off there. That was the initial. This game has very steep curves. Either you tolerate something like this and get it going, or you throw the game away. I know a bunch of people had this issue and probably just walked away. Like if me and you joined at the same time, even 10 minutes after, there's still a chance that I might not end up where you're at. And now that we know, if you're looking to play with a friend, you have to find out where your friend is. And as you sign up and create your character, you have to pick that server. And then, yes, later on, go to a town and then teleport to that world. So that's how it works. It's very layered. Scenario, server, world. So you pick your scenario, and then whichever number server we're both on, 1 through 500, like you said. So we pick server number 1, and then we got 15 different worlds within that server that you can jump to different planes on, which is extremely smart. I think they were trying to plan for expandability of like their user base, but it isn't that big. So it's like we got a lot of room to play, but not a lot of room, or not as easy to set up. But once it's set up, you're off to the races. Once you know what you're doing, we were good.
Typically speaking, yeah, there's not a whole lot to actually get in your way after that point. Skinny Chad making fun of it, saying, in the island, there is a castle. In the castle, there is a well. In the well, there is a duck. Under the duck, there is an egg. In the egg is the server.
Yes, exactly. Very nested.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of that with this game.
Yeah. And we both finally got in, and we're in the Manibus novice server. So it's just like the easy version of the game. Resources are plentiful. Enemies don't have like a ton of damage resistance. The like all the story is open to you in the area that you're in. The island that the game takes place on is called Nalcott. And depending on the scenario you're playing on, picks which part of the island you get to explore. So if you're playing on Manibus or basically any of the PvP servers, you're in the Manibus section, which is the like southeast part of the island. It's the biggest part of the playable area. And then there is another server that is the Way of Winter, which is the northern part of the island. It's got all cold and a bunch of hot. So it's got ice mountains and volcanoes. I was going to say fire mountains, but whatever. So it's got like the dual climate to it. And the whole purpose of that is to fight the varying weather swings. And then there is a scenario that came out at the end of last year. So it was still in beta before the official release. They put out Endless Dream. And Endless Dream has both parts of the map unlocked. So you can go to the north half, or you can go to the southeast half. The west is still locked. I don't think they've developed it yet, or it may come out with a new scenario that's coming out. I'm not sure. But as of now, it's totally an unplayable area. But the Endless Dream was alluring to me because it was like, oh, I get to explore the whole thing. I want to go to the snow area, because I drove up north with my car and I hit like this. It's just like a veil that covers the playable safe area of the map. Yeah, and Mitsuko, who is your she's like your companion. She's guide? Weird. Yeah, she's kind of like a guide, but she's not really your friend or companion. She's a person you met at the beginning, and her role in the story is kind of non-existent. She exists,
It's very vague.
and then she kind of is like, okay, well, because things are after me, I'm gonna hide in this pocket dimension. You go to the real world, and I'm gonna stay here. It's like, okay, so when am I gonna see you again? Don't worry about it. All right, no problem. Then once you leave Mitsuko, she kind of just doesn't really make an appearance. People talk about her, and you hear like logs about her, and if you try to leave the map, Mitsuko will warn you. And as you're going through and doing objectives, her little butterflies are like guiding you places. Not V, it's the little butterflies, which I don't know why V doesn't just do it too. I don't know. It just seems like Mitsuko isn't really important, even though she's supposed to be like the important character. She doesn't really have an important role in the story. Once you get onto the island, most of the story is about the mayflies.
Oh yes, the metas. I agree with what you're saying about Mitsuko. They really don't. In my mind, I kind of just imagined that is the creator of our realm of Nalcott. I'm not sure. I'm just adding lore because, like you said, we're not given much on that character. I think that's probably just developed as the facilitator for the other dimension. I'm in this pocket dimension, and we got a problem in this realm. We got a problem in that realm. So that way they can keep adding scenarios through like Mitsuko. Like, oh, this is happening to me over here, and it's Way of Winter. Oh, this is happening to me over there, and it's Endless Dream. You know what I'm saying? Like, we
Yeah,
get
I
to
felt like
branch through Mitsuko.
if they explained that better, I feel like that would be really a cool idea, because it's like we're looping different versions of reality to find something or to do something or to accomplish something, but it's not explained why we're in a sort of infinite loop. Like, it's teased on the radio that one of the guys, that he has like a crazy like conspiracy theory friend, and he's like, and my idiot friend thinks that the universe is going to end in a couple weeks, and then we're all going to be reborn in the exact same way in a different dimension, like nothing ever happened. But I think he's insane. It's like, okay, so that's like slightly confirming that when a server closes, that universe is like over, and your soul, your character, can go to a different world by walking through these eternal lands, and they don't bother explaining what eternal lands are. They're just like bubble dimensions that float in perpetuity outside of reality and space-time. It's like they throw so many ideas at you that are really cool, and they're like, we're not explaining any. It's like, but if you explained it would be way cooler. It's like, yeah, but it doesn't matter. Sure.
My brain wants all the information. Stop it. I agree. I wholeheartedly agree, because in any of my playthroughs, I haven't even used Eternal Land yet. Once with one character did I use it, and that was only to migrate it from one server to the next, which is also a process. Understandably so. Otherwise, people would be jumping all over the place all the time, and it would become one great big, lack of a better word, shit show. Just everything would be everywhere. It'd be disorganized. So I understand the procedural. That's the biggest thing about this game is procedure. It likes its A, B, C, D. That's it. If you do A, C, B, D, you're done. That ain't gonna work. You can't do that. So it really stems from that, right from the menu system all the way into how you are supposed to upgrade your guns or any of that. It's very procedural. You got to make sure you know your operations.
Yeah, that's a word we've used a lot in this game. It has order of operations. You need to follow the order of operations. You might get a result, but it is not going to be the correct result. You need to follow the order of operations if you want the correct result.
Exactly. Because there's
building
was
a nightmare. Building is so good. It was so good. And that's what kind of like got me into it. It's a simple like snap to building system. So you drop a block, you drop a second block, you can snap that block to either the four faces of it, you can put it up and down in height, you can snap other pieces to it, or you can free place it if there's nothing to snap to. Already there's issues here. 1, you cannot change snap points. 2, you cannot stop snap points. It will snap if it can snap. Period. It will. You can't stop that.
Right.
There's so many things that it would be a quality of life if I could just be like, hey, can I just like a good example is stairs. So you have single stairs and double stairs because single, like your character is a single wide. And you can have a double wide if you want like a nicer staircase or a bigger staircase. Or if you want to drive a car up it or something like that, you need a double wide. But if you just want like a regular one in your house or you're looking to save space, you use a single wide. The single wide connects to the block, and all blocks, unless they're a single block, are 2 wide. Everything is 2 wide. So if you're connecting a 1 wide to a 2 wide, you can only connect it to one of the 2 sides of the 2 wide. Kind of makes sense, except you can't pick which side. It will always snap to the left side. So if you want your staircase to the right, yep. You can't put it there. You can't. There's no option for it. You can't adjust the snap point. You can't put it there manually. You can't unsnap it and just drop it there and like put it there like manually. No, it will be where the game wants it to be. Otherwise, you're not allowed to snap it there. And
exactly
that alone is really annoying because doors are centered. If you put a staircase up to a door, the door is in the middle of the block, not on the left or the right. So your staircase will come up to the left, and then you'll have to like walk to the right to go into the staircase. There's like no feng shui with it.
Right. No, that is one of I hated that. So you can't have the single staircase lead up to a single door. You need to use the double wide staircase. And then it takes up the whole thing, like it's just overkill. And certain staircases that are like L-shaped, like, going down a flight, don't line up with that centered door either. It snaps to the left. So you go up and then you're standing, like you said, right in front of half a door almost.
Yeah.
You got
to have to like nudge your way to the side. So you could do is you could put like a little like a platform there, so you step off the stairs onto a platform and then walk to the door. But right. Either way, you still aren't walking straight to the door. You have to walk at a weird angle if you do those single staircase.
Yeah, it's
so they have a great system, but it's like maybe they need another year of people complaining about it to be like, hey, can you just let me pick which snap point I go to, please? I know you have more than one snap point on this object because I've seen it. I've used it. I know how this object works. But it just won't follow what I want it to do because it's your rules. And I have to follow your rules because that's the game.
But not only that, it's sometimes you got to get that pixel perfect angle to get the correct snap. No matter how you manipulate the camera, no matter where you're spinning, no matter how high up or high down if you're looking underneath, just sometimes it's so hard to get something to snap to a corner if it's not facing the exact right way.
And especially if you have any terrain, like if you're going into terrain at all, which you can do, like the foundation pieces and walls, like have the ability to ghost and phase into terrain, which is great for allowing like custom shaped buildings and other things like that. The problem is, like Spurksnick said, if you want like a flat floor and you're going to a part where there's a hill, you'll get flat, 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 and then you'll be like, okay, now I want to corner it. And you won't be able to put the freaking corner block in there because the hill is there and the camera keeps trying to target the hill, even though you're legally allowed to drop it in the floor. You can't target through the floor. So it's like, what are you trying to do? Drop it on the floor? You can't do that. I'm like, no, just snap it to that block right there.
Yeah, you let me go 1, 2, 3. I just want to put number 4 right next to 3. You got it the first 3 times. Now you're screwing with me because there's a little bit of a gradient in the texture there. You know what I mean? Like it. I'm sorry. Oh, no, I can go. I can further complain because I can't get that bar to snap.
That is one of the biggest complaints about my game is the game gives you so many good tools, and then, like Tim said, it's just a pain in the ass. It doesn't need to be that frustrating, and fortunately, since we've been playing, they have tried and successfully made many big improvements. The first and the biggest and the most important is load-bearing capacity. Holy shit. If any of you watched my streams of Once Human, like the first 15 episodes, it was me bitching about load-bearing capacity because it's so hard to build shit with the way they had the system before. It doesn't exist anymore. Load-bearing is like a myth now. It's fake. It's not in the game.
Yeah, they straight up took that whole mechanic out.
Yeah, nothing except for Raid Zone, which is the like PvP exclusive mode. It still exists in there because it wanted it to be like fair and balanced. So but in regular
you can't
modes,
get ridiculous. And
I was building a mansion house, and it was essentially, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 blocks high if you count the roof, which is very, very tall. Most houses, buildings, and stuff like that aren't that tall, but it's because I had a 4-tier first floor. Like the ceiling was way, way up there, and
it was huge.
You had to like go up a double staircase, so like 4 blocks high just to get to the second floor. And it was so hard to figure out what the game wanted from the load bearing capacity rules. Because I wanted to follow the rules. Like, I get it. Okay, I can't just make magic houses. Fine. Just explain the rules to me and I can follow them. And I won't get mad whenever I do something wrong because it's my fault. It's not that easy. Even when I do follow all the rules, somehow it's still my fault because there's shadow rules.
Yes, there is definitely hidden rules to things that they do not explain. Specifically the building, for sure. You can
a great
do this,
example,
but not that.
Great example is you have a pillar that's three blocks high, and you want to connect a ceiling on it. So you put the ceiling there. The load bearing upwards is perfect. It starts at 100% load bearing. So it goes 100 vertical, and then as soon as you snap the first one in, it goes from 100 to 66%. You already lost a third of your load bearing just by snapping that one. Now, that doesn't mean this piece is weak. It just means the next piece on it will be weaker than this one because it doesn't have the capacity to hold it. So you put a second block on it, and now it's dropped down to 33%. Okay, cool. So you lost another third. Awesome. Both of them are still firm. It's not like Valheim where they like decay and will eventually break. Cool. Then you can snap on a third piece, and then it'll drop it to 0. So you can have 3 from a load. So you have your pillar, 1, 2, 3, and now you're at 0. Once you're at 0, nothing can connect to that unless you get load-bearing capacity to it. Right. Now here's one of the shadow rules.
Another pillar.
If you build the pillar, you have this one, connects over, and then you build this. Now you have a little bridge up in the air. If you try to connect something to this platform, the third one, that third one still has 0 load-bearing capacity. If you connect it to the pole, right. If you connect it to the pole has 100%, meaning the piece you just put there will have 66%. But if you connect it to the wall, which is connected to the pillar, so it should have 100 on both sides, the only one that should be degraded is the one in the middle with 33%. It should be 100, 66, 33. That's not how it works. If you snap to that wall that has 0, it will A, not snap, or it'll snap and then the next item will have no bearing capacity, even though it should because you just put another pillar there. It took me literally like a week and a half to figure out this. Like, because it's not explained to you, it's not easy, it's not intuitive. You would think, okay, you just need a pillar to hold up the floor. No problem. Boom, I put a pillar there. Yeah, but you didn't put it in there the right way, and the floor isn't snapped to the pillar. The floor is snapped to the floor. What, you can't be snapped to two things at once? No, and we didn't tell you that.
Right. Well, and that's the thing. Like, I think they were trying to give you, like, you and I are not structural engineers.
No.
You know, they want you to start, they want you to, hey, what's up, Sam? Sorry. They want you to sink all the pylons first, then build your platforms. So like the example you just gave, if you do it your way, you lose the load bearing. But if you build 2 pillars, then put 1 platform and 1 platform, you'll get your 66. Then you have to put the third platform in the middle to make it 33. Like, again,
right.
Order of operations is very fucking important in this game. They want you to know exactly what you're doing, but they don't tell you how to do any of it. And we might not exactly explain some of the shadow rules, like we were just saying. They don't tell you that if you're continuously building forward, it doesn't work. You have to build parallel. Like I said, you got to sink your pylons first. You got to put your foundation down first. And we weren't doing that. We were like, oh, we'll build this part of our house, and then we'll extend it and build on an addition. And that was not, no.
Yeah, it didn't quite work that way. Not really.
There was a lot of taking apart and reassembling, especially on your part, because you built some magnificent structures.
The worst part is you would break one piece and it would be like, hey, warning you, this is going to break other things because it's connected to this thing. And it's like, okay, sure, let me look around. Let me see what's connected to this and see if it's an important thing. And you take off the couple of pieces that you think it is, and then you go to delete it, and it doesn't give you the message anymore, except there were still things that were connected to it, so now you deleted 5 objects because it lost the load-bearing capacity on that. It was just letting you know that there was a rug you were about to delete.
Yes. And not only that, there was another thing that I was doing, and that was when I was trying to reassemble or expand or do any type of reconstruction. If you remove a certain piece, sometimes you can't put that piece back. If there's 1, 2, and 3, and you try to take 2 out, you cannot put 2 back. You know, you got to take down 1 and 3, then put 1, 2, 3 again. Did that make sense? Did I explain that correctly?
A good example is fencing. So there's like a fence / railing, and there's the pillars / columns, which you can put inside of each other. Except you have to do it the right way. You cannot do it the way you want to do it. It has to be fence first, then pillar, because you can't put a fence into a pillar, but you can put a pillar on a fence.
Right, exactly. And like,
so if you deleted the fence, then you wouldn't be able to put the fence back because the pillar is blocking the fence. So you have to move the pillar out, put the fence there, then put the pillar back. It's
pillar back.
I don't know if it's intentional, and I'm assuming it's not. I'm assuming it's just the way they coded it, and it's just a byproduct of how they coded it. It's like, hey, X plus X equals Z. There isn't another formula to get to that. You might be able to make something that equals Z, but that's not right. And I think that's just a byproduct of how they made the game. This game is very, very, very Eastern coded. And that can be negative or positive. Yeah. It's made by an Eastern team. It has Eastern mechanics. Specifically, the fact that the entire menu feels like a mobile game. And it's because this game is a mobile game, but this game was made as a real game before it was a mobile game. So I guess they made that with mobile game in mind, or they just were like, oh, well, let's do this so we can make money. There are so many menus and so many little claimable things and so many like little rewards and stuff that it should just be in a one like huge like checklist menu where you can just check everything off. There's like the events menu, and then there's like 5 sub-event menus, and then there's the event or the newbie event menu, which is in that menu, and that has like sub-events to it. Then there's the shop. The shop has a bunch of subsections. The shop also has loot boxes, but the loot boxes aren't in the shop. They're separate to the shop. Then there's like privileges, there's like extra boning things. Now, all of this talk of microtransactions, I will give them a big positive on. None of it affects the game at all. Like the game, if all you care about is building, then yes, it does, because there's like exclusive cosmetics. There's like a log cabin skin. There's like a cat furniture, ice cream store stuff. Like, if you want like cooler furniture and stuff, you have to pay for that. Or another huge compliment to them is they have a sharing system. Everything you own can be shared up to 4 times. It can be shared more if you like work around the rules, but like my log cabin, I can go give it to Snake, I could go give it to Skinny Chad, and I could give it to Tim, and we could all have the log cabin even though I'm the only one that purchased it. That's huge. I don't even need like a bone. All you need is just give me building permissions, and then I can skin your stuff. I think that is huge because they could have easily just been like, why would you be able to share what you own? It's a skin. You can't do that in other games. I would have been like, yeah, right. You're right. Fuck. But that's not the case. And because of that, Snake and I got to build many beautiful structures, and I got to have people live with us and then upgrade their stuff. And I never once felt like a purchase was stupid because only I could use it.
Well, and that is one aspect of why I think this the team that's putting this game together is great. You can share your cosmetics like that. Not necessarily the clothes and character cosmetics, but building cosmetics, which is fantastic because, like you said, we built some pretty good structures I want to say it was 3 towns we've been through, maybe 4. I can't quite remember. But the most recent one, the mountain stronghold that we have, it's themed out. It all looks right because you had purchased those skins, and so my buildings match your buildings. That matches Rogue's buildings now, so it looks all themed uh, correctly. Like it looks like what's the word? Cohesive. When you show up, it looks like we have a mountain town, which is this game. And for all its faults, this is one of the most. It's the greatest thing about it is that there's nothing that you're going to buy that's going to prevent you or give you an advantage over any other player in the game. It's just clothes, it's weapon skins, it's structure
A
skins.
couch, yeah.
Right. It's basically a flex on other people. Oh, look what I got and you did. There's definitely a FOMO thing too, because they're constantly cycling things in and out of that shop.
Their loot boxes specifically. They have a loot box mechanic just like any other game. You can buy the currency, and then you can use the currency to buy loot boxes. You get discounted loot boxes for the first couple you buy, and then you have to pay full price on them. They got varying drop tables to them, although it's very transparent. It'll tell you what you've earned, what you can earn, what the percentage is, and there's also like 2 fallback mechanics on it. If you earn something you've already earned, you'll earn like little shards, and if you get lucky, you can get a gem, and both of those can be like used as currency to buy things out of the loot box in the future. And those aren't exclusive to that loot box. If you get a gem out of it, you can use it 3 months down the line and open a future loot box. If you get a bunch of shards, you can use it on tomorrow or next week's loot box. You don't have to just farm the same loot box over and over and over, hoping you get the item for it. You get lucky enough, hold on to a bunch of gems. Eventually, a skin comes out, and it's like 4 gems. And you're like, oh, cool, I'll just buy that. I don't need to buy a single loot box because I just have all the gems needed. I really do like the way they monetize their game. And it never, to me, felt predatory or abusive or that they were like taking advantage of anything. I think I probably spent over $100 on the game on like skins and cosmetics and stuff like that. And I didn't feel like it was silly, because every time I would like get back to base and walk around and look at everything I had built, I'd be like, fucking worth it. 100%. Yeah. It's so cool to look at this shit.
Go look at Annie's last stream that you did with Once Human. That was, except for the bar that's missing, which I was gonna tell you about again. Like I could not get it to snap in. Like it's hard for me to see, to orient, but I thought I had the orientation correctly. The issue was it was saying that there's another territory too close, and I don't know if that's an update thing. So we'll talk about that post show.
Well, let's transition to it right now. Actually, so the
okay.
The Once Human has a feature. I'll call it a feature because it is one. It's not a good one, but it does have a feature.
Yes, this is my biggest.
It's like an AFK timer. So because the worlds are persistent and players are able to loot, scavenge, walk around, and even when you're offline, explore your base, as long as it's not like open. If all your doors are closed and they don't have access, they can't walk in your base. Period. There's no way to blow open a wall. They can't hack your door. They can't like clip through the walls or anything like that. They can't open your chests. So you don't have to worry about being offline. All your stuff, however, does stay persistent. For 7 days. If you are offline for a full 7 days, and I think it's even a little longer after 7 days. I think it's like 7 days and like a couple hours. It might be 12 hours or something like that. But just to be safe, the timer is about 7 days. If you are offline for 7 days, more specifically, if that character is offline for 7 days, their territory, which is your base, your little square that you live in, your territory will be packed up. And what that means is it'll pick everything up off the floor and put it in build mode and then hold it there in stasis. So it's no longer on the map, and yet none of your stuff is gone. It's just all like floating. It's just in limbo. It's in stasis. 2 huge problems with this. Fucking huge problems with this. 1, not everybody can log in every 7 days. Might not have the time, whatever, may go on vacation, may have something come up in your real life and you can't log in. Number 2, if your base is crazy, if it's big, if it's got a lot of verticality to it, if it's like got a weird shape to it, it can be nearly or actually impossible to put your base back down. So if you like log out for the 7 days and then you log back in and it says, hey, we packed up your territory, just drop it anywhere to continue playing. How? Okay, so let me go drop it in exactly the same spot it was. And I know it's exactly the same spot because it was snapped to this guy's territory. So, just snap it right to the wall, rotate it, line it up. Okay, boom, those are lined up perfectly, no problem. And then it still won't let you drop it. This happened to me live on stream. I was walking around. I was editing some stuff. I was going into the back half of my house, and I went to go like place an object or move an object, and then suddenly the house just kind of like deloaded and I fell to the floor, which is not the first time it's ever happened. If the server becomes super loaded or whatever, the server will just do a quick refresh. Your character will drop to the floor if you're in like a player building because it doesn't exist anymore. And then like 1 second later, maybe not even a whole second, you'll just go whoop right back up to where you're supposed to be. And it's happened before where like my house unloaded and then reloaded right away. So I thought, okay, that's surely what just happened, except it's taking too long. So I logged out, logged back in, and still nothing. And I'm like, okay, what? Turns out that my territory got packed, and it really ticks me off because I was using it. If the territory is not being used, I understand. If it's in the middle of nowhere and like nobody's touching it or whatever, but I was literally at that moment adding and removing, changing, updating the file for my territory, and that's not counted as being active because the character didn't log in.
Right.
You can have multiple characters, which is how you're able to like make a town. You can just have up to 10 characters on an account. I'll get into how to do that in a minute. But if you don't log into that character that has that part of your house for long enough, that part can be packed up, which happened to me. So I thought, sure, I'll just drop it. Couldn't. And because of that, my character was now like soft locked out of the game. I could never, ever use build mode again. Because anytime I hit the build mode button, it says, hey, you ready to drop your house? Well, no, I can't. I can't drop my house. I can't put it anywhere. So because I couldn't get into build mode means I couldn't get anything out of my house because my house is floating in ghost mode. And that character is now just it lost all its stuff. So the only thing I could do is transfer out, which puts all of your stuff into a space backpack. Puts it in like a different backpack inventory than you normally have. So I did that, and then I transferred back in and just pulled stuff out of that backpack. Fortunately, I only had to do that the one time. Otherwise, I probably would have quit. It really, really hurt and upset me because I didn't know that was a thing. I thought that I was following the rules by still using and playing and doing stuff in my house. I was using the facilities, but I didn't log in, so I didn't flag it. And the game has a lot of flagging systems. If true, then this. If not true, then this. So if you're flagged for this or this, then you're good. So my character was not flagged as active, so was just essentially removed from the server. And now that we're talking about it, it's kind of happened to every one of our houses in the town because I've been streaming and doing other things, and I've had some personal things in my life. So I've been worried about other things other than Once Human. And most of my buildings have now been packed up, and it's going to be nearly impossible to put some of them down, except for another one of the updates, circling back, that made a lot of things easier. So before, the rule was every single foundation had to be touching for it to be considered valid, which can be nearly impossible, especially if you have an uneven ground you put your house on, because then you have all different heights. It changed it so you only have to have one foundation touching the floor. And if everything else is able to connect to that foundation, then it can be placed legitimately. And fortunately, the way I build things, it's all kind of snapped together because we have this road that goes through our whole town, and everything is kind of snapped to the road. This doesn't make it easy still. I went to go log in to replace one of my houses, and it has like a long staircase, like to get up to it because we live on a hill, so you have to go up. I can't put the ground, or I can't put it back into the ground. Only the platform at the very bottom of the staircase is allowed to be in green, and then it's going to now be a giant floating huge building going up into the sky, connected onto one little platform, because load bearing doesn't exist anymore, so that's not an issue. I wish the opposite didn't exist. Why can't I just squish it into the ground? Why does it put being into the ground matter?
That was part of the problem I was having with the bar. It was like, oh, you're too low into the ground. You can't put this here. And I was like, well, and then so I raised it up and I got it where I thought it was supposed to be. And then I would click to like drop it, and it was like, nope, you're too close to somebody else's territory, because it was sandwiched right in between two of your characters. So I was like, I'll just get you to help me, because like I'll share my screen and I'll use your eyes, and you'd be like, oh, we'll line it up right and blah blah blah. But now that you said what you said, okay, I'm happy with that. Actually, we played the ever loving crap out of that scenario. We did almost everything we could possibly do there, other than clear out some of these harder enemies. Which, in my opinion, I think we do need a team of at least 4 on some of the higher kin levels, which we'll talk about here in a little bit, I suppose.
Mr. Blue Sky asks, so does the houses get water damage and stuff too? This sounds like a hassle. No. Fortunately, none of your stuff gets degraded. The only way any of your stuff can get damaged is if an enemy attacks it. Fortunately, if you build anywhere smart or safe, there literally isn't enemy spawns, so you don't have to worry about enemies attacking your base, unless you build a purifier, and then it'll summon enemies to attack the purifier, and then you can do like a wave defense at your base. That's the only time your base has to worry about like durability or anything like that, unless you're in a PvP server. But we don't play PvP, so it's a non-issue. Good question, though. Thank you.
Super sweats. Yeah, environment isn't an issue for your structures. But like you said, there's this tower defense style thing you can always do. You build a little cortex purifier. You put your you earn these cortexes by defeating certain enemies, and then you can summon. Yeah, when you're trying to purify the cortex, waves of enemies will come and you defend your base, which is a lot of fun, because that's just like something that's peppered in there. You can do that or not do that. You know, it's not necessarily a main mechanic of a game. It's just something fun to do if you're bored. Like if we wanted to go back and play, we could do that, run silos or dungeons or whatever. It's not over, but you can squeeze a lot out of a scenario and be done with it. Manibus kind of has a storyline. The Endless Dream has a storyline, but it's sort of continual.
It's kind of non-existent.
Yeah.
The story of the Endless Dream is just kind of, you're there and this is happening. So it's just kind of a persistent thing.
Right.
Now, granted,
right,
we don't know specifically, because we went, after we left Manibus, we went to Endless Dream because I wanted to explore the whole map. And naturally, it's harder and more difficult. Forgot where I was going with that.
No, like the Endless Dream story.
Yeah, I got it now. Sorry. We didn't go into a actual Endless Dream. Endless Dream opened up on the day we decided to move over, a endless or a permanent version of the server, which means that it won't close in a couple of weeks, and it's going to stay open indefinitely, and players on there can keep playing with little to no problem for as long as they want. There's 2 drawbacks to this, however. One, the server is always in the final step. So everything that was in the story that was supposed to have happened is already long gone. Everything is already done. The mission is beat. Okay. Everybody, you won. You're in the post-game phase.
Your end game, yeah. Okay.
Which can be good and bad, because it means everything is unlocked and everything like that. It does mean, however, there is no story, no content. There's nothing to do other than playing the game and doing the Endless Dream stuff, which is a bunch of just kill this, hold this, kill this, hold this, kill this, hold this. It's just that ad nauseum. And then you get to a big boss fight where it's typically hard and you need probably 20 to 40 people, which is not a problem because it's on an endless server. It can, you can have 100 people online at all times. And then you just say, hey, I'm in world 1. And then you'll just suddenly have 30, 40 people pull in because they want the rewards. They didn't want to do it themselves, but they're glad somebody else started it. So, boom, I'm going to just come do the last part of the thing, get the rewards. So that is the negative, is that we are in the end phase constantly. So I don't know what the real story of anything of the Endless Dream is. Before I continue, Mr. Blue Sky asked, have I tried Valheim? Yes. One of the earlier episodes of What's This Game was Valheim featuring Alistair. I believe episode 8, if you want to go back and check that out. The Endless Dream is it's not easy, and I kind of like that because the rest of we only played Man Abyss Novice. I don't know the other ones, but the game just feels generally easy, and not in a bad way. It feels like once you got your guns built up and you start killing enemies, you kill most things in one hit, one melee attack. Most enemies don't even bother you if they're lower level because they're just going to die instantly. It's the end game grind that you want to go to. And if we're talking about end game, what kind of end game is there for a permanent server? Why would you want to stay there forever? Okay. Other than just liking the game, not a whole lot. There's not anything really exclusive to being in a permanent server other than you don't have to worry about your server closing. Except that's not true either. Because Snake and I decided to play the Endless Dream, the permanent Endless Dream, because we're like, okay, well, one of our characters was packed up one time, and one of our characters was almost packed up, and it's not worth it to constantly worrying about this. Plus, the server's ending in a couple weeks, so we'll just give it a shot. So we started, and we were there, or at least I was. Snake joined like 1 or 2 days later, but I was there day 1. Like, the server opened at 7 p.m. Eastern, and I was in the server setting up my base at 7:50 p.m. So I was there at the very beginning, hour 1, day 1. So I picked World 1, and I picked a spot that I wanted to build on our other world, but we just didn't. Set up a house there, and then started dragging people in as they came in, and the world only had one world. It was Endless Dream 001, so it's the first Endless Dream, or permanent Endless Dream, and it was World 1 in that server. Sorry, a lot of numbers. But that's meaning I was 1 of 1 in the first hour. So I was like at the very beginning of this thing. That's to say I should probably have like a stake, like literally a stake. I put my flag here. This is mine. I would like to keep this. As long as I log in every 7 days, this is mine, right? Cool. All right, we can agree with that. Sounds good. Those are the rules you told me. And then a month later, I log in and it says, "Hey, by the way, in 3 days, there's a world merge." I said, "Okay. If you're in this world, we're closing it. You better move to this other world." Yep. 1 through 8, we're closing the lower number worlds. The ones that were here first, that have been here longer, that have more people, we're closing those worlds. You guys go move somewhere else. Are you kidding me? I've already had the issue that I can't move my house. I physically can't move my house. It's custom built. It's too big. It's made out of 4 other houses. I can't move my house. So I sat on it for like a day or two and decided, okay, I'm just going to scrap my fucking house. I'm going to get everything, all my facilities, all my upgraded benches and my fridges and all my chests, put them in one room and delete everything else in the house and just have like 3 little rooms that I have to move. That worked out well, but I almost quit then because I was like, okay, now all my houses are going to be unloaded. What's the point of this? I was very fortunate at that moment that I was talking to somebody else in the game. Their name is Apples. Shout out to Apples if you decide to listen to this. And he was like, I have this little area over here. It's got acid, which is a high tier material. It's got fuel, which is a high tier material, and it's snowy. So you want to move here? And unfortunately, his world was also subject to a world merge. So I got with him and I said, hey, do you want to just go to World 11? We can just pool all of our stuff at World 11 and live there together. And he's like, yeah, sure. So Snake and I decided to move, and I helped Snake move his house, which is a lot easier. Even though his house was a weirder shape, it was a lot easier to pull it out of the ground.
Yes.
So we moved there. Go ahead.
Like you were saying earlier, the verticality, I was always building towers. I apologize to interrupt, but yeah, like we were having issues with that too, moving properties. It's just, I'm reliving my trauma as you go on.
Annie is going into rage mode. Cue the music.
That's right. Yeah,
okay.
No, I know. You packed up everything. We were moving. Keep going. Sorry, I didn't mean to derail.
No, you're good. We moved in, settled. I already started building a house up there with apples before the world merge, and fortunately that one house was able to just move in the same spot. Like, I just switched worlds, went to the exact same spot, and dropped my house like basically exactly where it was. That almost never happened, so I was really fortunate that it just let me put the house back. Because even if I couldn't move all my other houses, and even if I didn't decide to build another house, at least I would still have a house. And then the world merge finally kicks in, and I haven't heard from Apples. I haven't seen him move in or anything like that. And I reach out to him. I said, hey, what's going on? He said, oh, yeah, my friend that I live with in game, she got on, saw the world merge in a kind of a panic, swept up and moved everything over to World 8. Or World, whatever number they were on, 12, 15, I don't know. So right. Now she did that, and she just moved them all over there. And I was like, okay, well, I've already started setting up here. You've already started up setting up there. So we're just going to kind of deal with it as it is. And then we started building our winter town, which ended up going a lot better because I didn't have to worry about load bearing capacity. I had plenty of resources, and I had way more space than I did at the other area. The other place we lived was on like the top of a flat mountain, and the whole mountain was like leaning at a like 35-degree angle. So anything you built would have to be built like in multi-layers because you have to build down, or you have to build like weird long houses because you have to build on the same height of this hill. It made it really difficult. Right. So once we moved, everything actually was a lot easier and better, despite the fact that we were forcefully moved. So we made the best out of a shitty situation, but the world merge, completely fucking ridiculous that they would tackle a world merge and then make it go to the lower numbers that have been there first. I think it's just entirely insane to go after the older players. It doesn't make any sense to me. But it doesn't matter. It actually doesn't matter because one of the newer patch notes say that world merges are no longer happening on permanent servers. So really? if we decided to continue playing, we would never have to worry about a world merge again. We could move back to World 1 or stay on 11.
World 1.
The problem I have, though, and I'm not going to get back into it, is the packing of territories. Most of my territories have been packed now, and if I decide to go back and play Once Human, I'm probably only going to play with a couple of characters, and the other characters, I'm just going to make literally just a platform with a miner on it, so I don't have to go through the effort of building nice houses and then watching them be destroyed.
Yeah, no more of that. If the packing up wasn't so stringent, and I agree, 7 days, I know that seems like a long time for a lot of people, but it's really not. A week gets away from me really quickly, and you told me one of my characters got packed up, and I was like, there's no way. There's no effing way. I know I logged in like a week ago, or at least I thought so, and I must have had just missed it by a day. You know, just
a big thing
like
that would,
time, but it really ain't.
A big thing that would get rid of that, I think, is if you logged into your account, just log into the account, go into the main menu. Even if there's a button on the main menu that you have to hit afterwards, it should set all of your characters as active. I shouldn't have to log in to 10, 15, 20, if you have all of this going on like I wanted to, it is a job to keep everyone up to date on the thing, and I think that's ridiculous to ask of your players. It's like, okay, so every 6 days I have to log in and then do a full rotation of every single character I own instead of just logging into my account.
Right. And something I think that would help remedy that, you sort of touched on it before, log into one of your characters, and as long as your character is interacting with that territory should be flagged as active. You know what I mean? Like if I,
especially if it's in your hive, which is like your super close friends.
And that's also a good point. You know, if it's beneficial to you, well, everybody, if you're active in the town, like say you're like, oh, I'm going to be off next week and you can't log in, I can run around and interact with all your territories and your homes and
keep the farms going. Yeah.
Exactly. If I'm exactly that, if I go grab your ore or whatever off your territory, it should mark your territory as still active because A, it's producing a resource, and B, somebody's collecting that resource. Somebody who has permission is collecting that resource. So, you know, it would help if interactivity was a little more global like that. Yeah, and I agree. Once you log in to your account, all your characters should be marked active. So you're not spending an hour and a half clicking exit game, re-log in, exit game, re-log in. And that's all. It's a waste of time just to make sure that they know you logged in. And Chris just said it, you know, why make things harder on the people who are paying money for your game?
Yeah, don't make things harder on your whales. The other mobile games I play remind me to log in daily. Girls Frontline 2 and Uma Masami. Yes, that is different because it's on mobile and they can send you a push notification. I imagine Once Human could do that too because I do have it on my phone and it works while on the phone. You know, it doesn't seem like it would be impossible, but it wouldn't still solve the core of the issue that I would have to log in and then log into every single one of my characters on all 4 of my accounts. I stopped using the other accounts just because it was difficult to log into multiple accounts. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to limit it down to the 10 characters on the one account. And still it's difficult.
Right.
But
and
I think that's just to prevent abuse, you know, because otherwise you could have one guy who doesn't have a job and be like, I have 480 characters.
All right. Yeah, I suppose, you know, there are people out there who will do the extreme like that and possibly monetize it as well. You know, I'll grind out characters for you and then sell the character or whatever, or sell the account. Because it's staked out good resources. It's staked out, you know, it's taking up this much space on that server, blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? I know I'm getting a little technical about it, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, but I imagine that's really the thing is it's like a safety thing for them. But for permanent servers, I think it should be more lax because it's a permanent server. You know, it's not going through the same rat race. It's not the same competitive nature of getting a good position and, you know, getting your stuff up fast, getting a vending machine, selling quickly. It's not that same sort of race because the one server we're on has been open for 70 days now. You know, like people who have what they have are already going to have it. They have plenty of stuff. They have an infinite farm going, you know, and there's still new people coming in. I think the timer should be 21 days for a permanent server.
Yep. That's a good medium. 21 days. Yep. And again, there are push notifications for the phone. They could send me an email. They ask me to verify my email every month so that way I can score points. Send me an email. Hey, your stuff's about to get packed up, dude. Maybe you should come log in real quick. And not only that, they could tell you which characters on your account, because you showed me, you took the screenshot. They know when the last time I logged in was. So they can send me that information and be like, hey, you got about 30 hours before we take your stuff away.
Let me fucking double down on that too, because it doesn't tell you that. So I could log in right now, and like I said, I have 10 characters. It'll show me the list of my characters in the order in which I logged into them. So the one at the bottom is the furthest logged in time. It doesn't tell me when it was last logged in. I have to log into one of my characters, go into game, go into the Hive menu, which is your like super close friends list. And then that super close friends list will tell me, hey, this person was last offline 6 days ago. Last online 7 days ago. Oh, okay, that's the one I need to log into right now. Boop. There you go. Instead of just on the menu, just being just right next to your character list, last logged in, last logged in, last logged in, you know? I just...
Right.
Okay,
It's
so we talked enough about
like
that. I want to pivot to a different thing.
Okay.
So we've talked about the story a bit. We've talked about the nature of the game and like the kind of the style of it. And we talked plenty about the building and both the positive and negatives. So what is the game like? Like, once you leave your base, what do you do? What's the point of anything? So the map is set up in a bunch of different settlements. You have little towns throughout different places, and you have little tiny settlements which aren't, I don't know what they're called, because settlements are called settlements, and then there's ones that are like little house icons, which are like point of interest buildings, which could be a couple different buildings. It could be one single building. It could be like a crashed car that's whatever. It's a point of interest, but it's meant to be like indicating that's an important building to go to. When you are out in the wilderness, your big goal, if you don't have anything to do, is scavenging resources, because everything you build in the game costs stuff. All your buildables, your armor upgrades, your gun upgrades, everything costs materials. Metals, fabrics, plastics, all sorts of scrap. And most of the time, you want to go and run for scrap runs. Or at least that's what I do most of the time I run out. Because we're constantly building up our base and our supplies. You'll want to run out and pick a settlement that you like. Depending on the level range, will tell you what kind of loot, what tier of loot it'll drop. Because it'll always drop the same kind of crap everywhere. Some stuff has gear crates, some stuff has a gun crate, and the gun crate could give you a gun, otherwise it's going to give you more scrap. All towns are essentially the same with its loot tables, except for what tier you go into. So lower level towns, lower tier, higher towns, higher tier. Once you figure that out, you want to figure out what kind of enemies you're fighting, and if you need to adjust your build, you probably want to do that. There's two major enemy types. There's deviants and humans. So you have like Rosetta soldiers and bandits, which are the vultures. And then you have the deviants, which are people that were mutated by Stardust. Or creatures. I can't say for sure that they're all humans, because one of them is like a big giant bug, and I'm pretty sure that big giant bug was a bug. I don't know.
And there's very few animals that were infected. You get corrupted wolves, corrupted bears, and I still have yet to find a corrupted crocodile, but I know they exist.
I've seen one before, but I don't know what the point of the corrupted animals are, other than just having a visual different appearance. It doesn't seem to me like they have different loot. They may have higher chances for like their rarer pelts or something like that, but it generally doesn't seem like it matters. Something that is actually rare, in my opinion, is since we play on Endless Dream, if a animal is inside of a dream zone, which are like zones of influence across the map that change the environment when you walk inside of it. The big thing is that you'll get a timer, and no matter what, when that timer hits 0, you will die. There is no like down but not out. You don't like start losing health. That timer hits 0, you drop to the floor and you have to respawn. You are dead. You can reset that timer with an injector, which will reset it the full 15 minutes, but it has a 30-minute cooldown, so you could technically only use it once. And then just walking outside of the dream zone influence will rapidly drop your timer. So you can get back up to 15 minutes within 3 minutes. I think it's like a 5-to-1 ratio.
Something like that, yeah. It's very quickly. I think it's technically called the sanity meter. And when you 15 minutes in a dream zone, oh, I went crazy, and you just black out. And every time you black out, whether it's either from the dream zone or an enemy killing you or whatever you want to refer to it as, you'll drop a little bit of loot. Sometimes, most of the time, if you're carrying a lot of stuff. It can be a pain in the butt, but
Fortunately,
it's a good mechanic in my opinion.
Fortunately, you rarely ever drop anything too important. You could be carrying a lot of stuff, and when you die, you'll drop a ton. And in my opinion, the only thing that I have ever dropped that I was like, oh no, fuck, oh shit, was like my mining tool, like my repair drill or my actual drill. I don't think you can drop the solar drill. I drop repair drills all the time, but
maybe it was the repair drill then.
Yeah, I drop like tools all the time. So if I drop my turrets, then I'm gonna be shit. I want to go back and get my turrets because I do like my turrets. But yeah, when you drop stuff, you do have about 30 minutes to collect it before it despawns, and other players can come and collect that loot flower. They won't get your loot; they'll get like some loot. I don't know how it works, but when you collect somebody's flower, which is what they drop. I know for sure it's not exactly what the player dropped because I've picked up Spurg Snake's flower before and it was like some wood and stone, but he said he dropped like ammo and fruits and, some configuration blueprints or like something like that.
Stuff. Yeah.
And then I would just pick up some scrap off the floor. So I don't know what that is. I don't know if picking up the flower despawns his flower so he can't get it anymore. I don't know what that is. But we don't play on PvP, so it doesn't really matter.
It just dawned on me though, like I said, I lost calibration blueprints or something. That might be a way to prevent from falsely sharing items or something. You know what I mean? Like I could deliberately be dying and even though I can drop it on the ground. Never mind. I'm starting to overthink. This is what happens with this game. I start thinking about all the rules and the different. Because there was a bit of a time where we were exploiting as much as we could, like building wise, I should say, not like game mechanic wise, but I digress.
That's all right. So after you're done hitting your settlement or whatever, and you're pretty much cleared out all the chests, you can either go to a new settlement or you can switch worlds, which will kind of soft refresh the loot in that area because you're in a different dimension. It's just kind of a repetitive loop on that. You can go exploring. There's tons of cool places. And when you're exploring a settlement, there's always objectives to do there. You'll need to collect multiple crates, a bonus chest, and a beacon. At every settlement, you need to collect all three of those. And if you do that, you get an extra reward for completing the whole area. So it's a nice little checkbox to do. If you haven't been to a settlement before, you can see it on the map. You can go knock it out. And what's good is stuff in settlements is mostly fixed. So if you went into a different scenario or anything like that, you know where the stuff is as long as you have good memory. A good example is in the city of Highbank. The Mystic Crate is always directly in the middle of town on a stage. It'll never be anywhere else. So no matter what, if you start and you go to Highbank, you know right where it is.
That's the one behind the Eddy, right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like we went there a bunch of times. Like I feel like I know Nalcott pretty well now. That's another thing. The familiarity makes it grows on you. This game's so much fun.
Yeah, it was really nice when I got to the point where I could start driving without constantly needing to watch the minimap. And I'd be like, oh, okay, I know Greywater's over there, so I'm just going to head that way. Oh, Deadsville's right over there. I'll just drive. The map helps a lot, but I got to a point where, at least in the Manibus area, I was pretty confident that I can navigate without having to look at it every couple seconds.
Very cool.
When you're out exploring, you may come across a place called a securement silo. And a securement silo, we mentioned earlier, is a sort of dungeon that are throughout the map. There is a handful in the Manibus area and only two unique ones up in the north section. There is one that is I don't know what it is in lore, because in the Manibus area, there is a silo. It's like PSI. They all have like initials. Mm-hmm. And then in the north, there is PSI divergence plus 0.05. I don't know what that means, but when I do that silo, it's different, the divergence. it no longer has Rosetta enemies. It has deviants, and a door that isn't supposed to be open is open, and a door that's supposed to be open is closed. So it changes the path.
Okay, yeah. Oh, very clever on the developers' part too.
I wish that was more. I really like the idea of a divergence one. Like, why can't I do all the silos with a different divergence path? I think that would be really cool. It's just not an option. It seems like there's only one divergence plus 0.05.
Oh, okay. I understand. And like you said, it was up in the northern area. Was it in the like in the frozen igloo area or more towards the
It's in between the camp igloo and the whalebone.
Okay. So
It's like
all right,
it's
so
right
it's in
over
the
there.
frozen area. Gotcha. I was just curious to where they had laid it out. Because like you mentioned, we moved to Endless Dream to experience that part of the map because some scenarios you don't get the whole map. You're just kind of localized
And if we had decided to
into a
do Way
smaller
of
area.
Winter, that would have been let us explore the north, but then we would be trapped in the north and we wouldn't be able to go anywhere in the south half of the map, which,
Right.
can. I like having the whole thing, even if there's nothing up there for you to do. Like, Snake and I were in Endless Dream, and we did not go to the north for probably, literally 3 weeks.
Yeah, we were just building. Where were we? We originally started on
Trial of
the
the
Ancient
One.
Ones Mountain.
Yep.
Right. Okay. That's where Elder's Fall was. I like that. That was so cool. And yeah, we spent a lot of time there. We built our bases. That's where we first ran into the packing up and. Anywho, that is. We're saying. I mean, we're moving quickly through a lot of the things, but there is so much to explore. There's mountain ranges. There's desert. There's fishing areas. There's an island. You can drive around and get lost for hours. I mean, you knew where you were on the map because we were in places we had constantly been. But I know there's like deep into the desert. I don't know what's going on out there so much other than the drill face guys and 30 plus degrees heat. Oh, you're parched.
I think a big compliment to the developers is they use Unreal Engine 5 for this game, and very rarely, if ever, do I feel like they are just copying and pasting assets and using, all right, let's drop this fab here, drop this fab here. Okay, drop some trees here. Okay, put trash can number 3 over there, put trash can 2 number there. It doesn't really feel like that. If you walked around and looked, you could be like, okay, that's reused, that's reused, that's reused, that's reused. But they make it feel, at least to me, legitimate. It doesn't feel like a town was like made as like a military simulation town. It doesn't feel like the military base is just a bunch of fences and barrels. I really like their attention to detail overall and their placement of stuff on the map with its combination of terrain. It's very rare that I find something that I'm like, that was lazy.
Yeah, not in this game. Maybe if you get into minutia details, there was that one thing we were looking at on the refrigerators where we're like, oh, they kind of just borrowed that from somewhere else. But at the same time, like you mentioned, it's an Eastern coded game, and some of those rules are a little lax over there. It's not necessarily. We're pretty tight on it. If I slapped a SpongeBob sticker on a refrigerator and used it in my video game, of course Nickelodeon's going to be like, hey, you can't do that here. But over there, if it's not noted, it's not anything they're making money on. It's just in game. It's not even a cosmetic you can buy. It just happened to be there. Like you said, everything's laid out so correct. It feels more lived in than reused assets. It's not, even though you might see trash can number 3 a bunch of times, it doesn't feel like it's so overused that, oh, there that is again. Like, especially with the Rosetta stuff, the military bases all look correct. Like, they got trucks out there, their parking lots are right. There might be a tent over there or something, but it's not always the same tent at every military base. It's not always the same colors being used. They use a variety of wear on things, like, it's really good. They're so smart with how they laid it out. It doesn't feel repetitive. and every zone feels very unique. You know, when you're in Deadsville or Tallgrass, you know where you're at. When you're in Camp Igloo or Whalebone, for that one is wholly unique. It's the only one that has that aesthetic that looks that way. And there's gorgeous vistas everywhere you turn. You feel, I don't know how to say it, but like you feel like you're in a wilderness. It's amazing.
I think
I had a
immersed
lot of
might
fun
be the
with it.
word.
Ah, there you go. Thank you. Yeah, you
Uh,
feel like you're part of that world.
their lighting, I think, is the number one thing, and I don't know if that's just how Unreal Engine 5 Lite is, or if they made sure to put a lot of work into it. But when the lighting is working correctly, it is fucking fantastic. However, there is consistent lighting problems, especially when driving at high speeds. Suddenly you'll just be like, you'll drive and then you'll hit like, it's not invisible because you can see it, but there's like a wall of bright, and then you'll drive in, and then suddenly for like 30 seconds, everything around you is like a solar flare of pure brightness because the game hasn't like dialed in its shutter, or I have honestly no idea. The ISO is completely fucked. And it doesn't help that when we're playing in an Endless Dream, you can drive from that right into an Evernight, and an Evernight is a dream zone that has like a severely limited field of vision and puts like a black wall anything further than like 25 feet away, so you can't even see further into the distance. So you go from being into a solar flare into a black void, and then suddenly the lights are clashing and you can't see anymore. When that's not happening, the game looks fucking fabulous. The lighting goes off of wood so well. It feels warm. The light comes into things well. Shadows are really good, especially if you have them turned up to like the high dynamic shadows. The day-night cycle feels good. As long as you're not in a pollution zone, the sky looks beautiful. It's got great clouds. The stars are great. You can even, in the northern part of the map, since you're higher up, you can see like meteor showers at certain parts of days.
Yes. I was laughing because I built a bathroom. I built that nice bathroom. I have a nice bathtub, and you put this nice glass vista, but we're in the pollution zone. So every time he gets in the bathtub and looks out the window, it's nothing but like this horrible gray skyline. So it's like, if that wasn't happening, it would have been a nice view for the guy. But yeah, that's what makes it great though. Like, because you can, the scenario we're in, the sky is constantly changing, and not just from, like you said, the Evernight pitch black. Sometimes there's eyeballs in the sky. There's explosions going, lots of light, the lightning.
Yeah, the lightning is one of the environmental effects of the Dream Zone. The Dream Zone has a bunch of different varying effects. The three environmental effects are the Evernight darkness, the high explosive, like, I don't know what to call them except for it rains meteors on you. Yes. And then a lightning storm. The meteors are definitely the worst, without a doubt, unless you don't have a lightning regulator. If you do not have a lightning regulator, lightning is easily the worst because that can nearly one-shot you. You'll just be walking around, and if you are not moving fast enough, that lightning will hit you, and you'll instantly go down but not out. And you'll be like, okay, cool. Okay, nobody's around to inject or revive me, so I'll inject myself with an adrenaline, stand up, okay, and then boom, get hit by another lightning. And now you have 60 seconds before you can use another injector, and you're going to bleed out.
Yep.
Fortunately, if you have a lightning regulator, you get hit by lightning, and 24 out of 25 times, it just refills your health instead of killing you.
Yes.
Every once in a while, though, the tick rate is off, and the lightning damage will go through before the heal can actually hit you, and it'll one-shot you still. So you have to make sure you have enough health while you're out there in the lightning storm, just as a nice safety precaution, because if your backpack doesn't catch it, you want to make sure that your health bar does.
Exactly. And real quick, before we get too far from that, the environmental effects, we were talking about entering silos and other things like that. They had to go out of their way to patch the Endless Dream servers because you would get to the silo and get hit by lightning and die right before you can start the scenario, or a meteor would hit you and stagger you before you can get into the silo. So they started putting the they look like the resonators, but it creates a bubble around the front door of the silo now, so you can stand outside of the silo without getting hit by meteors or lightning and have a little bit of a safe zone. So you can teleport
I think
back
it's
home.
an oversight.
It was so, ugh.
I think it's an
okay,
oversight,
go
but those fields were implemented, and as you said, they protect you from those two. However, in Evernight, if you're in the Evernight for too long, you'll get corrupted, and it'll start to rain darkness overneath your head, and the only way to stop it is to just live through it until it stops naturally, or shine a light on the cloud above you, which there's various ways to do that. If you're standing inside of the bubble, the dark corruption will still do damage to you. And I think it's an oversight because one of the zones that it's supposed to be protecting you in is an Evernight, and that's what's going to kill me is the rain. And if you're not protecting me from the rain, what is the point of the protective bubble?
Yes, exactly. Because you're just trying to, like, you have to go. Let me explain this a little better. When you approach a silo like that, there's a door, and you have to hit, interact with the door, then pick the difficulty level that you want to run. And while you're doing that, because the nature of the game is it's constantly going, there's no real pause. Your character is still standing there in real time while you're in the menu, so you are at risk of environmental hazards, and that's why that's a problem. And yes, the dark corrosive cloud just spawns, and it's instantly draining HP. And if you're not paying attention, it will just soak you right down if you don't turn your lantern on or run near a light source.
And if you have already one health, that first tick is going to down but not out you, so the rain can kill you too. So
yes.
I'm going to hope and assume it's an oversight, and eventually they'll get that fixed where the silo doors protect you from rain. What they could do is they could just have a light source there, infinitely producing light. So it just doesn't rain there. That'd be great. I'd be happy with that.
I forget it's the flowers. So the flowers with the little light on it.
Yep.
If they put one or two right in that area, problem solved.
Yep. I mean, now if you pick them, that's on you. If you pick it, then you pick the flower. But yeah, just have a couple of them right there next to the door so you can't get hurt. Standing next to the silo door, perfect time to bring it up, is probably my favorite character in the game. There's not a whole lot of we didn't complete the Manibus story. We jumped out into Endless Dream before we actually completed the whole story. So I don't know for sure, but there may have been cooler characters to meet or whatever, but without a doubt, the coolest guy is T-Man. And T-Man is a TV man. His head is like a old style screen radio. So he
CRT television.
Well, it's not really a TV because there is TV head guys, but he isn't a TV head guy. His is kind of like a weird radio with a screen on it.
Yeah, that's true. I do accept that. That is more of an accurate description. You're right.
Yeah, but if you want to just call him like a CRT head, that's correct. That's what species he would be. He's a TV head guy. And he is really cool because he is a sheriff/detective. When you meet him for the first time, you may have heard stories about whether to trust him or not, or whether he's doing this for malevolent or benevolent means. So when you first meet him, he essentially is just like, "Hey, good to see you again," and you're like, "Excuse me? What do you mean? Again? Hello? What?" It's like, "Yeah, I know you." "Oh, did you lose your memories?" "Nah, that sucks." Well, I'm not going to get too much into it then, because no point in bringing up old stuff. It's like, no. I would really like to know who I was or am. And he's like, "Well, would you like to continue doing this contract?" It's like, okay, so apparently I used to be some sort of bounty hunter, or at least I worked with this guy. I'm going to believe him. He could just be lying, but I'm going to believe him. So you accept his contract, and he says, "Oh, hey, so here's the deal. This person did this person did that, and I need you to go in there to either collect evidence, to dispatch them, or get rid of the mutated version of what they've become. So kind of just get revenge for my client. That's really your mission. And you're
Yes.
like, sweet, okay. And he has a really cool like voice act. His voice actor is good, and he has like a great like filter and stuff to him since he's speaking through speakers on his head. It sounds like hollow. It sounds tinny. It sounds like it's coming from a old style speaker. And he's able to like change his tone and pitch on it and like the clarity of it. It's really cool how he's able to speak dynamically, but he speaks like really soft all the time. He's like a calm, collected guy. And I think it really adds to his character. Once you complete the silo and you come out and you finally finish the contract, you'll talk to him and he'll be like, "Hey, thanks." And due to the game just being the game and Stardust and deviations and deviants and all these key buzzwords and whatever, because the game said so, T-Man is able to speak as the dead. He can't speak to them directly, but he can speak. They can speak through him. He can like turn on a different channel and then they can talk through him to you and be like, "Hey, thanks for avenging me. I really appreciate it." And the first couple times it happens, T-Man is like, "Oh, that must have been a bug." And then he just was like, never mind. And he just, it's just like, nope, that's what I do. I talk to the dead. You figured it out. Well, actually, the dead talk to you, more specifically. That's correct.
Yeah, he's the medium that the dead speak to us directly, and turns out a lot of the times we're helping somebody out who was murdered or something tragic happened to them by some nefarious means, and we're resolving the situation and trying to enact some justice. I thought that was a neat aspect. Again, that's not necessarily main storyline, but it's very much in the world. So I think that's very cool. And there was some cool missions that we did. There was some story that the dead people dropped on us, and I was like, wow, that's, they didn't even have to do all that. They could have been like, thank you, here's your reward. But instead they give you the whole start to finish. You get a nice little vignette of something that happened in this world.
And I think they do it really well with T-Man. And I think that's probably why he's my favorite character, is he has like the most to him and he has a purpose. A couple other great characters is Mary, even though she ends up betraying you. So, she's pretty legit at the beginning. And Claire, the merchant. Claire the merchant's pretty cool. She's just kind of like mask woman who likes history. She's I wouldn't necessarily call her butch, but she is very masculine as a lady.
Do you know who Tammy Hall is? I don't mean to bring low-cow stuff into this, but yeah, very, very much. I get Tammy Hall vibes. If you guys know who that is, look it up. If you don't, she's a survivor. There's no doubt about that. That Nalcott has hardened a lot of these people. I think survival will do that to you, though. I can say for myself, I'm pretty comfortable living in the big city. I got a nice mattress upstairs. I don't have to travel anywhere far to get any food or anything. There's a McDonald's and a Burger King literally right at the end of my street if I'm that lazy. I can't imagine having to saddle up and ride a caravan through. So, Claire is a great character, sends us on reconnaissance stuff, and is interested in keeping the history of Nalcott alive, what happened before and everything. Go here, find this out. And it's a great excuse to drop world lore on us it's in a fetch questy kind of way, but it's not terrible. There are always interesting things going on, in my opinion. It's not just go collect this and bring it back to me. Retrieve, I need 500 metal bars for this next thing so you can do the next quest just to be doing quests. They're trying to get you to immerse yourself and be involved by giving you a lot of world lore.
A lot, but not too much or even often enough. They give you a lot of tidbits, and then they're just like, we are not going to expand on that. You can imagine and figure out how or where or why it fits into the lore, but we just put that idea in the game, and that's where it is currently. There is no connecting threads officially.
Right.
I think a small example would be the character Lo. Lo is a very interesting guy. He's after you get like far enough into his story, he tells you that he's from a different dimension. So I guess he's like us, where we can dimension hop or something like that. And that just opens so many questions that he doesn't explain, the game doesn't explain, that doesn't even bother. He's just like, I'm powerful. I can dimension walk. It's like, how? All right, no more dialogue.
Yeah.
Cool. That's where that ends. So I can figure it out. I can imagine things. Like you could put things together. Like Rosetta apparently has this deviation called the Silver Gate, and the Silver Gate is apparently able to be powered and then open up a physical tunnel between dimensions. And another character called Alexi from a different survival game back in the summer, he fell into our dimension, once human dimension, fell into the once human dimension and was like, he's kind of like ethereal. He wasn't really there, but he kind of was. And I'm guessing maybe that's kind of like what Lo is. Maybe he's using the Silver Gate to walk into this dimension. So that's why he's not like entirely physical, but he is. It doesn't make any sense, and it doesn't have to. The game puts all of these things at you, and it's like, oh, that's cool. Oh, that's cool. Oh, that's cool.
Yes, exactly. And I like that it doesn't always make sense, or there's not necessary. We were playing another game where we know the threads are connected. We get a map that shows us those threads are connected. Here in Once Human, this is happening over here. It may or may not be connected. If you can come up with a reason why it would be, that's great. But we're not necessarily going to provide you evidence. T-Man and Miss Memory both are in the dream world, and both of them serve different purposes, but they look similar. Are they connected? We don't know. Have they ever met? I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, did they just pick a character model to screw with me? I don't know. But it's neat. And like you said, with Lo, there is dimension. Not only is there dimension hopping, there was a character that you brought up to me because I would have never have known. That was just happened to be a side quest who came from some completely other area. I don't even think from this game, you said, right? He's from another.
Alexi, yep. Yeah, he's from a different, like, it's a very once human-like game made by this another company under the same parent company, but they did it as like a collab.
Right. So it sort of, are they related? You don't know, but it could be.
Is that canon?
This guy's here.
Right. Is that canon? Is it like canon for Alexi? Did Alexi actually go into once human in his canon timeline, or is that a different version of Alexi from a different version of that game that came to our? There's, and none of those bothered to be explained because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We put all this flavor in there just so you'll keep playing our game and you'll go keep shooting enemies. It worked. I logged 900 hours into this game at least because most of it building, but because genuinely anytime I left and got into combat and stuff, it was really enjoyable. Your character has like a couple of abilities being a metahuman. You have the ability to get radioactive powers through either just taking too much Stardust, or you can craft them and inject them into yourself. And you can get like injectable powers through craftable serums, or your character just has like a simple regular power. They have this like snap where they can do a pulse that will pulse outwards and then back inwards, and it'll ping any loot nearby. It doesn't ping enemies, it just pings loot. That's all it's for. It's a loot finding button.
Uh,
Really, really, really useful, especially if you have auto collect on, because then you can just hit the ping, and as soon as it gets highlighted, your character will basically start auto collecting it, and it makes it a lot easier. The other ability you have is like a telekinetic hand ability. You can pick things up from a distance and hold them like magically and launch them. You can use this to do explosive barrels. You can that's pretty much like the big thing. It's explosive barrels. A light from an enemy, a briefcase. Yes. You know, there's a couple of things that you can use the telekinetic hand on.
It's very specific.
And I'm not sure why you even really have telekinesis, because you don't ever actually use it, you know? Like, they could have just made it so, like, you have a device on your hand, like Alex's gravity gloves from Half-Life, where you just go whoomp and pull it towards you, and then you could just throw an object, you know? I don't know why your character has to be a telekinetic, but you never use it to fight enemies. Doesn't matter.
Right.
It's just one of those things that's in the game.
But I think it's specific, like you said, you can handle explosive barrels, the briefcase, the light source, and on the one boss guy, not Dave, the other guy, I can't remember his name, but we pick up that Gatling gun or the or mini gun,
yeah,
I
that's
guess
Dave.
you would say. Oh, is it Dave? Okay. And so, like, you use that ability with that gun, sort of. You do hold it, but that's it. Like, there's like 5 or 6 specific items that you use your telekinesis on, and that's it. It's not like you can pick up a chair and throw a chair or any other loose objects, which really there isn't, other than loot. It's not a byproduct, but it is a way to, like, I think it's tied to like the deviant powers mostly, and they just added the barrels in later so you can throw explosive barrels because it's cool.
Yeah. Other than that, you don't have too many like things that make you special. You know, just typical third-person shooter stuff. You can run, roll, sprint, climb. There is a fast descent. If you charge a heavy attack in the air, you can like quick descent with that. But there isn't like a ground pound like Borderlands or anything like that. Skinny Chad, let's catch up on his chats. He says he likes H37, the little bunny robot. You get introduced to her pretty early. It's got a girlish voice, but it could be a boy. You know how Asians are.
It's a robot.
Right, so it doesn't matter. H37 introduces you, and then you go on a couple of fetch quests for them, replace batteries, and then help them get to Greywater, where you meet the mayor Hot Dog. There's plenty of interesting characters that just don't have any part in the story, like Mayor Hot Dog. His name is Doug Holt, and they just call him Hot Dog. Cool.
That was his name's Doug? I didn't even know that. I know they talk about him on the radio from time to time. And that's what I mean. There were a couple of other cutscenes where we talked to a character, and I wish we got to get a little bit more out of them, especially in Myers Market. I forget who is it the mayor? There's dialogue with the mayor at Myers Market, and then that's it. Like, you just talk to him, and I think you do one thing, and then it's
yeah, it's basically just about the pregnant women turning into trees, which is like a big deal in the area. Yes. And then that quest line kind of gets like wrapped up really quickly with itself. They're just kind of like, oh yeah, some dude gave a girl a book, and then now people turn into trees, and then she turned into a super tree. So go kill the super tree lady, please.
Yeah, that's
just
right.
Killing the super tree lady turn the other people back into regular people. Does it stop the virus? Nope. We stopped writing the story.
Yes.
Please go kill the big tree.
Like, all right, we're just gonna abandon this plot line for a little while. Oh, we'll just end it here then. Yeah. Where are you moving to next? I don't want to because I do want to talk about combat at some point.
Yeah, combat is where I was trying to pivot to. Combat,
oh, excellent, good.
One of the early things that I spurged out at Snake about was the simple aiming mechanics. The game is in third person, and when you hold your aim button, you aim over the shoulders, like Resident Evil style, most third persons where it zooms in the camera, you get more stability and accuracy. The camera like lens gets in a little bit further as you zoom in. It's not an actual zoom because you're not zooming in a scope, but the camera adjusts to the zoomed in perspective, known as over the shoulder camera. This game is in third person, but they didn't have to do this. Decided to add a first person toggle aim. You can't run around the game in first person, which would be incredible if you could. But anytime during combat, instead of holding your aim button, you just tap it. And then you will go into first person with hard sights, iron sights, or a scope. You get even more stability, even more accuracy, but you move very slow. You have a significant movement speed penalty for being hard scoped. That simple,
Yes.
Just being able to toggle between those three where you could hip fire, OTS, or ADS, I was like, why doesn't every fucking game, why doesn't Warframe have this? If Warframe had a first-person fucking view, you wouldn't see me for a couple weeks. I would be testing every gun in Warframe, looking at every first person, looking at all their animations, all their models. It would be so good. And just that simple toggle, I haven't seen in other games, and that really got me like into the combat. Plus, all the guns are punchy, they are fun. None of them are wholly unique. The game is based on reality, so you have an AK, you have a SCAR, you have a Street Sweeper AA-12 shotgun, you have a Barrett 50 cal, you have a whatever the op is in Counter-Strike, whatever that gun is in real life. The green body long sniper rifle with the bolt. It's just got a basic thing. It's got a Glock. It's got a 357 Magnum. None of these are named the guns. They're all very similar. The SCAR isn't the SCAR. It's the SOCAR. It's SOCR. Right. So it's like the SCAR, but it's not. It is a SCAR. For example, the way I know there are literally that gun is if you inspect the gun is called the Hammer. It's essentially the Barrett 50 cal. You can inspect the gun and it'll literally have the serial number and the model number of the gun and say Barrett on it. Okay, you guys literally just stole a 3D asset things. And then you put it in your game. It's fine. I don't think Barrett's gonna sue you, but everyone in the entire world who knows what a Barrett 50 cal looks like will look at that and be like, that's a Barrett.
That's exactly what that's supposed to be. Yeah, exactly. And that's what I was going to say. They basically tried to do name swaps and skin swaps on the gun, but not modify what the gun looks like. Or, like you said, remove any baked-in asset that was already on the model, like that serial number. And like you said, you can see it right there on right above where the magazine goes in. It says Barrett. I was like, oh, God, really? I thought that was so funny. But to get back to your original point, like the over the shoulder, aim down sight, and hip fire makes this game so like you can get into any play style. You don't have to aim down sight if that's not your thing. You can straight up hip fire. But like you said, you get more accurate as you go. And one thing I'm gonna not correct you on, but you can you get scope speed and you get movement speed while scoped. To help that, you can look a lot faster if you get buffs that help you with that, or you can move side to side. Which, when I'm out just like killing stuff, or like you said, we're scavenging and salvaging, great. When we're in certain boss areas, it's almost always over the shoulder. I can't. There's no reason for me. You can't sit still in certain areas for too long, otherwise you're just going to get killed. So it's run and gun.
Yeah, especially on harder difficulty bosses. Like if you do it on hard or pro, where they get the additional mechanics, additional enemies. Yeah, then you really want to make... In that circumstance, I'll agree with you. There is very little reason to actually hard scope unless you just want to like make sure you land every bullet. In which case, just get good at the over-the-shoulder camera and just move around while you're doing it. To further agree with you, yeah, the calibration for your sniper that gives you faster move speed while holding it is very, very important for a close range sniper, like in doing silos. You really want to be able to move quickly, especially if you're like me
between
and
targets.
use the lefty camera swap where you can like shoot around corners. Every third-person game should have a lefty camera swap. This game has one. However, I don't love it because it has bugs in it. The lefty camera swap isn't coded correctly. Shocking. If you are lefty camera swapped, so you're aiming like this, where you're like over this shoulder. If you do your melee, your character has a quick melee button. If you do a quick melee, you won't pull back out your sniper rifle. You'll pull out your sword in your hand like this, and you'll try to shoot a sword, and it doesn't work. The only way to pull back out your gun is to right camera swap, melee again, and repeat it doing the correct action to pull out your sniper rifle, or switch weapons twice. This makes it very, very difficult for me to be a close-quarter sniper in silos, because if I'm lefty camera swapped and an enemy comes up at me and I melee him, now I can't shoot. So I have to quickly swap, melee again, and then swap again. I've gotten used to it, but that shouldn't be a feature because no other game I've ever played has a lefty camera swap that's broken.
Right. No, and I agree. It's such an advantage when you want to shoot around that side of the wall. You know, like if you're in a doorway and you're on one side, you're right over the shoulder, you can run to the other side, left swap, and shoot out that side. So it's a great idea. But I remember you specifically. What do you see? And I could still see your gun, but you're like, no, I'm holding my sword. I can aim down sight on my sword, but I don't shoot anything either. That forces you to
except for on your screen it does, because on your screen I'm shooting like bullets at a really weird pattern. You're like, the gun doesn't shoot like that. Right. How are you shooting like 6 bullets at a time? Because I go click 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 and it shoot all the bullets, but on my screen nothing's happening.
And then you told me it was the sniper. I was like, oh, no, that's not right. Because no matter what sniper it is, even if it's the Brahmini, there's a little bit of a delay before that next bullet, because you can't just auto shoot with the Brahmini. There's a little bit. You gotta pop, pop, pop. And with the bingo, there's the bolt action. Yeah, I don't like the fact that you have to retreat from a fight to swap your weapon back because of a bug in a game. And it's due to that over-the-shoulder camera switching.
It's 100% repeatable. That is exactly what causes it. It's lefty swap with melee. Your character does not pull out the gun again. It gets confused. And it's only with the swap.
File a ticket with IT over at NetEase.
Yeah, if I have something that specific, that one actually could get tackled, because that one might just be a line of code where it's like, oh, it doesn't have the reset line right there. Let me just add that one little thing. There you go.
Yes, that's more than likely to just miss something to reset that.
A majority of the problems seem to be oversight. It doesn't seem like a lot of the bad things about this game are intentional, other than the packing of territories and stuff. That's clearly intentional. Right. But it seems like most of the issues are just like, hey, I didn't pay that guy to code that, so he coded it like a 5-year-old, okay?
Mm-hmm. That, and you brought it up a bunch of times before. Sometimes it seems like there's departmental issues. The people working on the building part of the game didn't speak to the people on the items placement part of the game, or whatever, like the side or the snapping part, whatever it was. One department built this and another department built that, and they put them both together. Yes, it works, but they didn't communicate enough because, like you said, there's certain things that just might break because of lack of an oversight or lack of communication. Hey, this happens when that happens.
A great quick example is the zip lines. Okay. I think it was, like you can place it's a facility. It's called a facility. You can place a facility on a block, no problem. As long as the block is supported by weight and it's connected to the ground, not floating, you can put it on there, no problem. You can't put it too close to the edge, though, because the facility's hitbox is bigger than the block. So you're actually hanging over it, even though it doesn't physically look like that. The item is bigger than it visually is represented as, because the person who made that did not communicate with the person who does block rules. Because if the person with the block rules have been like, hey, there's no invisible surface for it to sit there, you're going to need to trim that.
Yes, shrink your hitbox on the zip line so that way it fits on my foundation block better. Exactly that. Little things like that. Dimension, and again, it's not necessarily a lack of communication, just oversight because there was no forethought in there. The left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing, so to speak. Yeah, it's that's up to the project manager then, whoever's running the whole project. And again, like I said, not everybody can test for every single thing all the time. This game's only 2 years old at max if you count the beta. We're only coming up on 2 years, maybe 3, right? Yeah, January will be 3.
Yeah, January will be 3.
Okay,
well,
January
it's 2 now.
It's
2 now, so 3 coming up. Yeah, because 2023, 2024, then 5, then okay, because it came out in
January.
Yeah, there you go. 3 whole years.
Yeah.
Soon.
And so, I want to remark on that too, because we've seen other games that have been in development hell 10 years, 15 years in the making, and then we get a pile of turd stew at the end of it. These guys are really nailing a lot of what they should be nailing, and getting
their weekly updates are impressive.
What they're getting like. Yes, agreed. Like you said, they took out the structural integrity for everybody else, other than PvP, because it's not necessary. It was just a mechanic they added to have it. Oh, this is more realistic.
Yep, and then they felt that it wasn't eventually still cohesive with their idea. They wanted people to be creative and saw what people could do, so they could keep it realistic, or they could just take out that one little thing and be like, go nuts. You still have the other limits we put in place. You can still only build in your territory. You still can only build this many objects. You can still only build this high. So,
right.
You can still only do so much, but we're just taking out some of the limiters on it.
Yeah, it gives you the ability to make a structure that looks a little more ridiculous than you could. It gives you a little more video game than real life. The planning room you built, that's on 4 posts. It's like literally a stilt house way up in the air. And in real life, if a strong breeze came by, it'd blow it right off this, because of the way it looks. So yeah, I appreciate that. We get to be a little more ridiculous and have fun. That was the first thing I did, was built a huge tower just to jump off of it.
Live service games can have many problems, but if they're done well, like this game, it can only get better. Since Snake and I started playing this game, we're not playing as much anymore, but since we started playing it, at least 3 of the problems that I had with it are gone. They just don't exist anymore. One of the huge patches that, like, the patch notes are written very direct and very concise, and sometimes with less words than maybe they should. In one of the last big patches, it's literally like one sentence. Outdoor facilities no longer deconstruct when moving territory. It's a very simple sentence, but that is huge. What that means is all your water pumps no longer get exploded when you move your territory, and you don't have to hook up 50 water pumps every time you move. Now water pumps move with your house.
And
why didn't they just use that and make it more clear? Water pumps no longer will be destroyed when moving territories. Add some more context to it. They did it in a future patch to give a little bit more detail to it. But that is one of the examples of something that they changed that is a huge benefit to everyone. It's a huge quality of life. My friend Apples, who I mentioned earlier in the episode, he is a huge acid farmer, and each of his bases has the maximum possible number of pumps. When he had to world merge, he had to move over 60 pumps, replace them, refinagle them, rewire them, repipe them. And that's a lot of work.
That's like with your house. Yes, it is. And zip lines. What other function facilities are there? Not just water pumps, but your deviant generators, or
any of that stuff that's now sitting out on the floor will move with your base instead of being instantly destroyed.
Which is awesome, because like you said, a lot of people are very concise with how they build an acid farm, or in our case, the asset farm and an ore, I don't know how to explain it. It's just our mining facility, basically. We got all
Yeah,
those
just auto
platforms
miners.
lined up. Yeah, so hopefully it moves all of those too, because what a pain in the butt if you have to shift your territory. Even more so if it's forcibly happening because of a world merge.
Right, then you didn't even sign up for it.
Right. And again, like, I build ridiculous structures because I think it's fun. I like, the idea is people walk by and they go, "Holy shit, what is that thing?" Like, because we've done it. We were driving around and like, "Oh, let's go check out this guy's base because he's got a cool skin and it's built out in the middle of water," or whatever the case. Those things make it very interesting. That's another thing I like about this like live service. I don't really play these styles of games because I never got into them. It's just neat to see that there's a semi-living world around you. Something might be there one day and it might not be there the next.
Yeah,
Our
Skinny Chat and Chat was saying earlier that he logged in and someone took his spot where his house was, because I guess he took too long to log back in, so his territory was packed, and he went to go put it back in because we're talking about the game, and somebody is in his spot, which, it's a nice little area, so if somebody else comes up to it, they did exactly what we did. We're like, whoa, this is a cool little area. Look at this view. Huh, that's a perfect place for a house. Bam, drops their house right there. And that's what's cool, is you can move anywhere. There hasn't been another base building game that I've played that has that. And that is something that I didn't talk about, but I fucking love. I've only talked about it in a negative thing, but being able to move your territory is fucking fantastic. If you didn't play the way I played and were like more of a nomad kind of guy, every 10 minutes you can just move your base to you. You never need to go home, ever. All you got to do is walk outside of a town, because you can't put your house in a town. Just walk outside of a town. Boop, there's my house. Boop, there's my house. Anytime you want it, you can just bring your house to you. Well, every 10 minutes. It's got a 10-minute cooldown.
Unless you have zero structures, then you can move it wherever if you just have your little node.
Yeah, but then you don't really have a house, technically.
Yeah, that's right. And
now, what you could do,
though,
you could destroy everything, put it in your backpack, and then have it blueprinted so you could just hit F to place the whole thing back every time you wanted to. But then you would have to constantly be carrying like 9,000 pounds.
True, you would need all that lumber and gravel, depending on how big your house was. But that was what I was going to say. We started out right outside of Myers Market, I think it was. Like the very first thing, Manibus Novice, the very first thing we did was build camps right outside of town, because why not? That makes sense, right? We think we're going to have to run back and forth in and out of town. And then we eventually moved. And a week or two later, I went back to that same town, and there was new people right in the exact same spots that you and I were in, which is kind of neat, because it's like, oh, wow, other people think the same way. Like, we all kind of, let's get used to this. Like, there's like, again, with an order of operation, we have our own like player pattern. We want to be close to town because we're going to be going there and establishing ourselves. We were close to water and vegetation and deer hunting. So we had everything. Everything was basically right there for that met our needs. As we progressed, we're like, well, shoot, we need acid. We need tungsten. We need more precious metals, gold and silver, for better tools. Finding better hides, like you said, the dreamscape deer hides, so we can stay in the zone longer, or bear hides so we can stay in the cold longer, whatever the case is. It's so neat to watch not only where you're at as you mature in the game, but to see new people jumping in right away. There is, somebody mentioned earlier, I can't see all of the chats all the time, but the dream scenario is much more team oriented. Whereas Manibus, you can get away with running it solo like Chris did, or like you and I did. We basically two-personed the whole thing. Up until I think we were about 80% in the Manibus server scenario before we were like, let's go jump over to this one.
I think that's about right.
So the only thing we missed was how it closes out, and which we can probably play at any other time. I would create a character just to run it again. Like you said, there's so much to this game that it does. We haven't been playing a lot recent, but that's not because we weren't wanting to. We did. You put in, like you said, close to 1,000 hours. I at least half of that, if not more, for me. I didn't really get burnt out on it. You know, I'm a little bit bored.
I'll say
with
that
it.
too. Yeah, I'll say I'm a little bored with some things, but that's because there isn't a lot for me to. I don't have like a list of objectives like I used to do. You know, like we'd have to move, we'd have to set up again. You know, there would have to be another circumstance to get things going again. But I agree with you completely. It's not burnout. It's not like, ugh, I'm annoyed with this. Ugh, no, it's just like, I don't have anything to do today. What am I going to do? Run a couple silos? I don't really feel like doing that. I'm just not going to log in today.
Like, yeah, see, that's the thing. Like, I really wanted my melee amplifier. It did just get a recent update. Sorry, I just saw that chat. But I wanted that damn blue melee amplifier mod.
Wednesdays are their big updates. Usually it goes down during WATP.
That's, you know what? You're right. Now that you said it, I can make that connection, because it would be on a day that you're like, oh, we're not going to. And you would remind me, make sure you do this so when I'm done, you're ready to go, you dummy. Because there's been a number of times, hey, do you want to play tonight? And I'm like, hell yeah, I want to play. And it's like, oh, 3 gig an update. And you got to wait for me then. But that's my own problem. That's me being silly. And there was like you said, there was a recent scenario added, right? There's a 4th one, a new storyline, or was that just a new loot crate update? The most recent thing that came out.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Is there a new scenario added? We got Manibus, Dream.
Let me pull up the patch notes, but I believe the answer is yes. I believe they just released a new scenario. I think it's the Pal World crossover scenario.
Oh, yes, that's right. That's right.
No, one more thing. Oh, no, I'm sorry. The Blood Moon was added yesterday. The Blood Moon is an event that, like, during night, you lose health constantly, but there's a bunch of different other things going on to, like, exclusive deviations. There's exclusive mods and stuff like that. So it's an edited version of a scenario. I don't know what kind it is, though.
Okay, so it's not like a wholly unique new thing. But
no, that's coming out soon, though. The Once Human X Pal World. Yeah, apparently they're having like a fusion crossover. I have no info on it other than that title, Once Human X Pal World. So, with any luck, it'll have a bunch new deviations, and deviations will be able to do more things, and you'll be able to like do a community manager kind of thing with your deviations. That might be cool. You know, put them to work, do different things, go out and battle with them. Maybe even have multiple of them at a time. I don't know. I have no clue.
That's what I was going to suggest. Like, maybe it'd be more like, you get to battle your deviations one-on-one. That would be kind of fun. That's, again, another like mechanic that they can just add into the game that doesn't necessarily take away from the main focus, but it's just something else you can do in their world. But we didn't even really get into that. There are multiple deviations. There's multiple ways to upgrade your guns. There's
tons of build options.
Yes.
Yeah. For better or for worse, there is a lot of build diversity. So much so that it can be a little daunting to kind of understand what's going on. And especially since it's an Eastern game being translated into American English, some of the things may not seem exactly straightforward. Really quick example is there is 3 statuses that'll affect this, or 3 stats that'll affect the same weapon. There's a good gun called the Boom Boom. It shoots fire bullets, and every once in a while, a fire bullet will explode, doing a big fire bullet. Cool, really simple gun. That gun is affected by 3 stats. 1 is weapon damage. Every time you shoot the gun, it affects the weapon. Then there's status damage, where anytime they're on fire and taking a tick damage over time, that's affecting that damage, which is also affected by weapon damage. And then, lastly, you have elemental damage. Well, your gun is doing fire damage whenever you shoot them with fire bullets, so it's doing weapon damage plus elemental damage, and then when you proc an explosion and set them on fire, then you're doing status damage. So it can get really mathy, and then it gets even more confusing because the game hasn't been out long enough, and there's not enough like Warframe-style autists on the game where they can give you the exact formula for what the game is doing in the order it's doing it, and then give you a calculator on how to calculate your own builds. It's not to that point yet. Give Once Human another year or two, and maybe people we'll dive into making better build calculators and stuff like that. But as it stands right now, your option is either to read a lot and make some assumptions and put things together, or just go online and watch like Mon or something like that. I don't like just going and watching a build and just following a build and be like, all right, that's my build. Cool, done. I like build crafting. I like spending hours and hours in the build menu, figuring out what works better, where to get an extra little bit of damage from, figuring out, okay, so on this, is headshot damage better or is doing a critical better for this? Okay, which one's better? Okay, what about a headshot critical? What's my chance of doing that? So like when you get into the minutia of it is when builds can get really, really fleshed out. The negative is the real final end game of Once Human is just mod grinding. There isn't actually anything really past mod grinding. So really simple way the mods work is the mod drops and it has like a perk. So for example, when an enemy is no longer on fire, lose half the stacks instead of all the stacks. So they stay on fire, but just not as on fire. Cool. Awesome. Now that perk can have 4 substats. So it can be like reload speed. It can be headshot damage. It can be crit chance, crit damage. It could be
status damage, elemental
less damage to headshots, less damage to bodies, so you take less damage. You know, there's a bunch of different substats on the mod. Yeah, do extra headshot damage.
Reload speed.
Tons of them. There's
health.
There's offense, defense, and utility on those.
There you go.
And you can't pick which substats you get on a mod. When the mod drops and you pick it up and it's in your inventory, that's how it is. That mod is the way it is. You have the option to upgrade it and make the substats better on it. You can't change them, though. If it dropped with headshot, critical, damage reduction, that's all you get. You only get those stats. The only way to get another one is to get another mod, just constantly farm and hope they drop the mod that you're looking for with the stats that you want. Or you can take 6 mods that you already have and fuse them together with 20,000 currency, which is a lot if you don't have currency and is nothing if you have a lot of currency. Currency is really weird in the game. It's a resource. It's not money.
Right. And real quick, by the time you're doing that and rolling your mods, you will have enough cash that you're blowing 20K and mod parts too on top of it. By that time you're rolling, you should be stacked with flush with cash. If you're not,
And if you're not, then you can do a couple things to get some money. And if you don't have cash, then you shouldn't be fusing mods anyway, because that's 20K per fuse. No guarantee that you're going to get the stats that you want in the order that you want with the weights that you want to them. So mods are the game's strictest, purest, and most egregious form of RNG. And that's random number generation, which just means random for people. It's awful. It's so bad that's what some people, that's the only thing they do, is some people just log on and farm mods. I can't see myself liking that system, so I really early into the play decided I'm just going to settle. I'm fine with settling. I'm going to get some stats that I like, maybe one stat that I really like. The biggest stat that I like is magazine capacity. I want every single thing in my arsenal to have magazine capacity, because I want my crossbow to have 2 crossbow bolts, and I want my sniper to have a big magazine. So that's the 2 big things I really want. Or if you're using the double barrel shotgun, if you can get the double barrel to have 4, that's incredible. 3 is still great though.
That's what I was going to ask you. Like, I was trying very hard to see if I can get 3 arrows in the crossbow, but no matter how hard I stack every single magazine cap, I can only get 2. So I don't know if there's a hard limit to that.
I would assume there probably would be a hard limit, probably a hard limit of 100%.
Yeah, I think the same with the shotgun, like you just said, 100% extra magazine capacity. That's the hard limit. Otherwise, you could have 6 arrows, and it would make the crossbow a little OP. So
Well, with one of
fair enough.
talking about builds and stuff, there is a build that you can do to make your crossbow shoot 6 bolts at a time. There's a pair of pants, like in the builds, you have your gear, and then you have an item called a key gear, and you can only have one key gear equipped at a time, and it can be equipped to any part of your body. There is no key guns; it's just key gear.
Right.
A piece of key gear is a pair of pants that every time you hit like 20 electric stacks, the next 6 bullets will come from reserve instead of from the magazine.
Oh.
So you can get the buff proc, and then just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, reload.
Right. Okay. Yeah. See, now we're talking again, like getting into minutia and figuring out exactly how to get the results you want. And another thing that makes this like a social game is exactly what we just did. If you collaborate and talk to other people, hey, I figured this out. This is something that I like that better than what you described before of just going to YouTube and watching a video and finding out what the meta build is for the Boom Boom, or finding out what the meta build is for the Critical Pulse, or any of the other great guns. A lot of things tie into each other like that. Oh, go ahead.
Is key gear like legendary gear? Vale asks. Yes, other games may consider, like in Destiny, yes, you can only have one exotic gear equipped. So that's very similar mechanic. You can only have one key gear equipped because they're typically very, very powerful. Example, a pair of pants that I use. Anytime my bullet bounces, it'll bounce like an additional 2 times. So I can get like 9 bounces on a single shot if I do it right, instead of just like 5 bounces, which can be a lot. That's a lot of extra bullets flying all over the place. And then
it's funny.
I can't read that whole username. What is that? Young old
vibes.
Young old vibes. I'll have to fix my chat reader. Huh. Nope, it's a username thing. All right, anyway. They ask, or they say, I'm going to have to try this game now. Well, it's free on every platform. It's also on mobile, so you can get it on Steam if you want it. You can get it on Epic. It's on console, I believe, and mobile. If you don't want to download any of the launchers, you can just go straight to the website and download their own launcher called Loading Bay and just launch it directly from their own version of the launcher. I would recommend Epic, but, that's just because that's where I play it.
That's where I play it as well. I like the Epic launcher better. It's a little lighter than the Steam launcher. So I prefer that. Although Steam is probably the more stable of the 2 launchers. That's me being picky. Moving on.
All right, speaking of moving on, we are getting late into the episode, and I was wondering if there's any other topics that you want to focus on or talk on before we hit on out of here.
Well, before we wrap it up, let me think. Okay, like we were talking about builds and stuff. There are very cool deviants. That's the one thing I think we kind of glossed over. As you're playing the game. Sorry, I didn't mean to bump my mic yet again. I'm gonna say it this way, and I don't mean it in a disparaging way, but like you gain deviants that you keep in that cool backpack that we brought up at the beginning of the show, and you can summon them, and they will also buff your character or give you a special ability or help your weapons, or in some cases fight for you. One of them that was my favorite early on was the Xeno Purifier, which is just a fancy name for a cool ass samurai who's a ghost and like just literally straight up samurai chops everybody in half. And if you get a good one, it's one shot. I really like that one. Was there any that you specifically were playing with that you liked?
I didn't play with enough of them. I feel like a lot of them would be cool, but aren't. I try not to be a meta whore, but it comes to a point where some of the deviations are so much better than the other ones that it's like, why would I even consider another one? One that I tried just for build fun was With the Wind. And what it does is essentially just makes you like float around for a little bit during combat, which is really good if you have that like gear that like while airborne X, while airborne this. That's really great. The problem is it doesn't work as well as I was hoping. If this is how it worked, it'd be great. If it just gave you like temporary ability of flight, where you could just kind of like fly around for a couple of seconds, that'd be incredible. But instead, what it does is like puts an invisible pillar underneath you and puts you up in the air, and then you can stand on the pillar, and then if you move off the pillar, you'll fall. And then she'll try to catch you with another pillar and put you back up into the air, but it doesn't always work that way. So essentially, it only works like once really well. You toggle it on, she'll put you up in the air, don't move.
That's not going to work out for me.
Yeah, because then you just get shot a bunch.
Exactly. I know. And
yeah. There was another one that I really wanted to try. It was called the Mini Wonder. It's essentially a somehow sentient black hole. It's a little orb that you can summon, and what it's supposed to do is either draw or warp enemy fire away from it. It either bends it away or bends it into it. I don't remember which one.
Right. No, and it did not work as well as I would hoped it had. I had a 5 skill rating, level 3 activity, maybe? I don't remember. Anywho, it was not as effective as I would hope it was. Like you said, some are so much better specifically for your build too. Like I was using the Boom Boom and the Pyroclasm, which is the Street Sweeper shotgun, and both of those have burn element and explosion. And so the Pyro Dino like doubles the amount of damage of the burn stacks. So I was doing 800 burn a tick, but then with the Pyro Dino, it goes up to almost 1600 a tick. And I was like, geez, what am I going to use anything else for? This enhances my weapon so much more that I don't need it for anything else. And it does take away from the spice of variety there. You know, I got to switch characters, switch builds in order to use another deviant because I just want to see that one work. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I was using Mr. Wish for a while because I decided I wanted to do a build for Bullseye. And Bullseye is an effect that you put on enemies that marks them in like a blue aura, so you can see them through the walls and stuff like that, get better sight on them. Also, they take extra damage, like 8%. Not a whole lot, you know, just rounds up to 10. They just take an extra 10% damage, you know, kind of nice, especially since you don't have to do anything to really mark them. You just have to hit them, and they just turn blue, and then you do more damage. So I was using Mr. Wish because Mr. Wish would run around and shoot enemies and turn them blue. The problem is he misses a lot, he doesn't shoot a lot of bullets, he isn't very fast, and he doesn't do a lot of damage. 10% isn't that much. If he marks them and I do 10% extra damage, that's not a lot. Then I started using the Wolf. The Wolf bites enemies and will do several thousand damage. And if it kills that enemy, it'll make another wolf. And anytime a wolf bites an enemy, that enemy takes 50% extra bullet damage. Why would I ever use Mr. Wish ever again, ever? Exactly. I can't see a situation where I would want to use him. Especially since Mr. Wish is apparently bugged and can't mark bosses. The whole reason you would want this little fucker is to mark bosses for you to keep them constantly in bullseye. Doesn't work. Why would I use him?
Exactly. Skinny Chad, I gotta say it at least once. I like the wolf. It's probably one of the better deviants, especially when you're clearing mobs, because like you said, they'll bite and kill. Go find a mob that's like level 10 or something with your character that has that. If there's like 4 or 5 of them, you will have 3 wolves on the ground. It feels good. You know what I mean? With a lot of other games like this, I like to play like maybe a necromancer or some type of summoning mage kind of thing, and have a gang around me. You were 2 comparisons I'm about to make. One, the end game mod grinding is very similar to Diablo style, where you're just after the game, you're just
constantly get that bigger number. Armor.
Right, big number, go burr. That's what we want. So it's similar in that. And at the same time, like that's the style of character I would play. I would play a necromancer. I got 5 skeletons, a golem, and something else going on. And then I can stand back and just kind of pick people off. That was what the goal was here. Have all the enemies dealing with the wolves deviants while you stand back with the bullseye and just go pop, 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 pop. That's how that build is supposed to work. Mr. Wish is irrelevant at that point. So, there are so many deviants, and some of them just become irrelevant to you because you do find your own meta. Like you
Mr.
said,
Wish, more like Mr. Timu.
Right? Nice. That was a good one. It's you can make the game fun for yourself, even if you're not being the most effective. You can still win if you got to work harder a little bit. You and I both right away saw that there was extra roll stamina. And at one point, you built enough armor that you had a whole second stamina wheel and can roll like 12 times in a row.
I had 3 full stamina wheels, Breath of the Wild style, where you had the big wheel in the middle and then 2 little wheels on the outside.
On the outside. Right, there you go. And that's, I didn't even need that. It's excessive. You don't always need that, but you can do it. And it's fun for you. Yeah, that's what your character's now doing. You're a dodge character. You're rolling around this guy and maybe back into melee with the Matsumune and just start hacking and slashing for 10k a crit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can really make the game bend to your will, and even further so if you got good company backing you up. I got through so much hard stuff because you were right there knowing what you're doing versus me just goofing off, basically. Oh, I'm going to play with the hazardous object and this gun for a little bit. And they're effective to a point, but I also need help because I can take out 1 or 2 right away, but the other 2 are just pummeling me because I'm putting a whole clip. I'm not spec'd in correctly where you know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes you do need harder hitting things or being better at not getting shot, which is part of my problem. I'm not really, I get shot a lot.
Yeah, sometimes I'll play with weaker stuff and just be like, okay, I just have to play better now because I'm playing with weaker stuff.
Right.
It's making it more fun for me. Maybe my team's not enjoying it, but I'm here to have fun. And if, I spec'd into the hazardous object like you did, and I built it just so I can constantly throw it. I just have an infinite use grenade. So I just to explain it to the audience, the hazardous object is a legendary Glock. And its perk is, instead of reloading, you throw the gun and it explodes. That's basically what the gun does.
Great.
It's the only gun in the game that does that. It's a TDR weapon from Borderlands. So you just throw a grenade, grenade. And you just keep throwing your gun repeatedly and just doing 10, 15, 20, 25, 25, 25, 25. You're just blowing people up.
Right. And it's as powerful as many bullets as in the magazine. So like Annie was saying earlier, you spec into magazine capacity, that thing's holding 35 40 rounds versus the normal 20. It's doing double damage as a one toss grenade, just wrecking people. I think the magazine capacity came from some mods, but I also had like a fire rate calibration on it, so it would be like pop 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 pop, pop toss, pop 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 toss. It's just fun to play with. It wasn't like I was doing a massive amount of damage, but at the same time, now not only am I getting to play with the hazardous object, I got to dodge roll out of the way because there's flyers around me shooting. It's fun. It's just you can make the game fun for yourself, even if there's not a lot of objective going on.
Yeah, and I feel like if you're not the type of person, then Once Human is going to be a game that you genuinely don't like. But it seems like the people that we talk to and the people that are in our chat would kind of like that gameplay loop. You get as much out of it as you really want to put into it. Skinny Chad says, dodging around AoE from bosses gets me every time. I can't get the timing right. I'm not sure if you can. I haven't proven it, but I'm almost positive Once Human does not have iframes on a dodge. So you can't roll through or over or around a wave. You have to jump over it. Typically, in most combat situations, I'm addicted to double jump soda, so I can just double jump.
Yes.
And so I can just hop right over any of the waves, and it's not an issue. Something you may want to consider if you're having trouble with their AoEs is try jumping over them.
Yes, use the spring legs if you can make it, or if one of your characters has that perk where you can make the you turn it on, like he snaps his fingers and you can double jump up to like 10 times or something.
Yeah, that's good too. Yeah.
I would recommend the spring legs because it lasts like a half an hour, even though it costs stamina.
Yeah, so you have to make sure you have stamina to do the extra jump, but then you can get over it. And then while we are recommending things, if any of our viewers or anyone that wants to check out this game decides to, I would highly recommend you do just a little bit of research on the scenario before you go into it, so you don't go in blind. That's the biggest piece of advice, is just know which scenario you're going into and figure out how old it is. You probably want to start at the beginning of it, probably. And if you're not doing a permanent one, definitely. If you are doing a permanent one, the biggest piece of advice is try to make a community out of it. Try to find regulars in the chat. Try to be a regular in the chat. It can really help because if there's stuff that you don't have or don't know how to get or you're struggling with or whatever, most people, from my experience on a permanent server, are just kind of sitting around and they want something to do. And if you ask them, they'll be like, fucking finally, yes, let's go.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, somebody I can help. That's exactly why I grinded 1,000 hours in this game, so I can make it easier on new people. And it's true. Don't be like me and just kind of hide out and lurk. Ask. I was, apprehensive at first, but like you said, if you say, hey, look, I need a perks furnace so I can get ahead on ingots. Does somebody have a solar drill to help me go? Does somebody have a chainsaw so I'm not standing there just chopping wood? Just little things like that that can just make your initial gameplay that much smoother for you.
And 9 times out of 10, those people are more than happy to be like, yeah, here, let me TP to you, or you TP me to me. Oh, you don't have them? Just tell me where you are. Oh, we'll just meet at Deadsville. I'll just drop it on the floor for you. Most people won't even charge you. They are more than happy to get that shit out of their inventory.
Especially if they got extra deviants or extra anything, really, resources, or I think the only things that are extra precious are Stardust source, acid, and tungsten. And tungsten even isn't that big a deal.
Not really, especially if you have the perked furnaces where you can just duplicate it, essentially. You turn one acid into like 4 ingots.
Yeah, it's so, yeah, and that, again, that is the only other thing I would mention. If you're new to the game, be patient. Take your time. The menu system will reveal itself to you. You'll figure it out. Because that does get a little confusing. There's like 4 different menu currencies. Just, as long as you take your time and be patient, you'll see what goes where. And truly, for a free-to-play game, there's not one better that I can name. Not even Fortnite, which is free-to-play, but I still feel like it's not predatory. Fortnite, it's not predatory, but you do want to buy that battle pass. Here, the battle pass feels secondary almost. Like if you want extra stuff, pay $10 a month, $13 a month, whatever it was. Where Fortnite gives you the FOMO more. We're like, oh, we're gonna take this out of our store if you don't buy it. Like it's more manipulating. Whereas like, hey, we got some new shit. You want to check it out? And if you say no, it don't matter. It doesn't really like, that was the other thing I wanted to bring up. I think that the over-the-shoulder aim-down sight and first-person thing is great, specifically because of the cool-ass gun skins that you get to see. One of the current ones that I don't like it, but it made me think of that, what you were just saying. It has feathers all over the gun. And you shoot it, and when you empty the magazine out, the feathers turn all black before you reload it again.
Oh, that's neat.
And like as you're shooting it, feathers fall off of it. Yeah, very cool. But you wouldn't notice it if you're hip firing. It would be almost secondary. But when you're in first person, it's amazing. It looks so good. So I like that too. Like this game's
something that I forgot about until just now is that if there's an inspect gun button in the wheel. In the wheel that you summon V with, which is your familiar, if you go to a different section of it, there's an inspect gun where you'll do like a first-person analyze of your gun, and I think that's pretty cool. just to show that exact thing where it's like, I paid all this money for the skin. Well, technically, I paid money for the skin. I'm gonna look at it. I want to be able to see it. I wish you could set that to a button, so I could just hit like the button right above enter to just inspect my gun. Oh
yeah.
And just do that anytime as like a fiddling with my gun thing. If you were watching my Ghost Runner stream the other day, basically anytime I wasn't moving, I'm just spamming the taunt button, so my character's like throwing his sword around.
Spinning his sword.
Yeah.
I know. Is that why I was going to ask you about that, not to get too far off track, but I noticed that while you were playing, like he just like flips up the sword, spins it around his hand. So that's you doing that. That's not just like idle animations. Okay.
There's one or two that he does automatically, like where he readjusts it, but most of them it's just because I'm constantly spamming the taunt button.
The fancier ones is because you're spamming the taunt. Like I saw the difference. Very cool game as well.
Well, before we get into other games, I want to wrap up on this one, and I want to ask you the classic two segments, final segments. One, what was your favorite part of Once Human?
That's a good question. I think my favorite part was playing with you, honestly, like hanging out and just like getting lost in the game. I think it's that, like just chilling and burning hour after hour, like not even realizing that we were playing 6 hours one day, speaks volumes to the distraction that this game can cause for you. I don't sit that long ever. Like this is it. 2.5 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours is my max most. When it was 5:30 in the morning the one day that we had been playing all night, I was like, I gotta go to bed. And then we played for another half hour. And I was like, I'm really going to bed this time, and his sun was already up again. So that is that's my favorite part of the game. It's just being able to burn time with my friends and not even realize how much we wasted, like that. It's not a good thing, but it's my favorite thing.
I was trying to think of my favorite thing this whole time, and I think, honestly, I'm just going to kind of go with your same answer. I started playing Once Human because I was having issues with my computer because of hardware-software issues causing many cascading issues. I basically couldn't even use my computer anymore. So I, basically stopped streaming for a little bit, and I was getting it fixed. I got it fixed, and I was like, okay, cool. Now I want something that I can play offline. I want something that I just if I'm not streaming, if I'm not in the mood, just something I can jump into, something I could do for me, just whatever. I just want a game that I can play right now that I could just do to myself. Like I said, I picked it up because I thought it was a different game, and I started playing it, and I ended up, the first time I played it was 6 or 7 hours, and I was like, I like this game. I really like this game. And then I would just keep saying that, and I would say that out loud to you when we were in calls. I fucking love this game. This game is so good. And like you said, it became that time sunk I was looking for. I apologize to people who like watching me stream. I stopped streaming for a whole month because I was like, okay, it's not really fun to watch Once Human when I'm sitting at base trying to get one piece of wood to snap in for 25 minutes at a time. That's not really fun to watch. It's fun for me. It's not fun for anyone to come in. If anyone was coming in to watch the stream, they'd probably just be listening to the podcast I was listening to because I'm just sitting there silently just...
That. Yes, exactly that. There was stretches of hours you and I weren't really even talking. We were just doing stuff in tandem. You know what I mean? Or it would be minimal talk. Hey, I'm going to go do this real quick. Do you need anything out of there? Like that. We were just kind of, it wasn't work, but it was a relaxing hobby for sure.
So I think that's my favorite thing is it's a huge time sink if you let it be. And I really like a game that I can sink hours and hours and hours and hours into, not get bored, and it wanting me to come back. I like thinking about it at work, thinking about building, thinking about build crafting, thinking about, ooh, what am I going to do tonight? Ooh, what did I forget to do last night? Because there's so many things that you're like, oh, I need to do this. And then you get sidetracked with 20 objectives, and then you never ended up going to get the acid out of the barrel,
the one thing you started out to set out to do. Yeah, exactly.
And that's what I love.
And
It's just one thing after another constantly, and you can. I think I did my first all-nighter on this game in like the last 5 or 6 years. Like actually staying up all night was playing this game, and
Yep.
I don't regret a single minute of it. It's so much fun.
that I don't regret any time I put into this game. I don't feel like I wasted anything. Um, there's a sense of accomplishment after all of that. You know, you feel like, whereas with like other games, I don't got to be so paranoid because we're not in a PvP, constantly live scenario, and when you return back to your territory after going out on a raid or a bunch of silo runs in a row, you do feel like you're back at home and dropping off your shit, and you gotta go take a nap, you gotta drink a beer so you're not going crazy. You gotta, this was Lego Odyssey on steroids for me. Like I was playing Lego Odyssey on Fortnite, and the Dream Zone one is very akin to this, so I had a blast. Really enjoyed it. Really had a lot of fun. Just like you said, pulling all nighter, staying up all night, just getting lost and sunk into this world. Too good. I had so much fun with this. Still am, actually. It's like just kind of.
We might be on a little bit of a lull right now, but I know once that Pal World shit comes out, I definitely gonna pick up my main character, maybe an alternate, jump over to that scenario and give it a shot. Because this game is incredible, and if they keep adding more incredible things, I just try to picture this game like on a Warframe timescale. If this game has been out for 13 years, imagine how much cool shit would be in Once Human.
And that's right. I know we nitpicked a couple of things while we were playing, like, oh, they could add more guns in the wish machine so we can get more weapons. They're not there yet. Like after, especially today, realizing that, oh, this game's only been in development for like 2 years. You know what I mean? Like, or more than that, because they had to start it all out. But you know what I mean? Like, it was beta 2 years
post-development.
Yeah. Only really, right. So it's things like I just need to be patient because more things will get added. And again, like as more people start picking up and getting into the game, they will want to expand it more. They already, like you just said, they added Pal World, which isn't necessarily like the biggest IP at the moment, but it's another thing to add in and collaborate with and get more eyes on their stuff. So I like thinking that we're in on the not necessarily ground floor, but close enough that we're going to get to see this game grow in a fantastic way.
And I definitely look forward to it. I hope it's a game that I see an update come out to, and I'm like, oop, hey, you ready to do another couple weeks of this game? There's a few games that anytime there's a significant update, I want to do a whole nother playthrough. Terraria is a great example. If literally anyone on Earth, asked me, hey, you want to do a Terraria playthrough? I'd be like, cool, clearing my schedule. Do you have 500 hours? Are you ready? Because I love that game, and I'd be willing to pick it up because it's just that good, and that's how I feel about this game.
It plays really well in the 3DS. Too, I should say. It really does. I like it. That's the first version I played, and I was like, this game is fantastic. It's just super cozy and threatening at the same time.
All right, let's catch up on these chats. Vale says, it was exciting to watch me play Saturday. Your base tour was awesome. Thank you. Skinny Chad saying, when you get anything new, you definitely want to try it out. And Vale saying, maybe they'll do a Han Moon crossover with K-pop Demon Hunters. Skinny Chad agreeing that it would be cool. And finishing it off by saying, Terraria also has a blood moon. Right, bringing it full circle there.
Nice.
All right, and we're going to head out of here. But of course, Snake has got to do his plugs. Why don't you tell people where to find you, if they don't already know?
Where to find me? On YouTube, @SpurgSnake is my channel. And on Twitter, it's @SpurgSnake. I usually just tweet out shows I'm on or things like this, I do my shows Monday night, 11 to 1 a.m. I'm playing video games myself. Monday night is my game show game night. I encourage wrong answers for both Wheel of Fortune and Family Feud. And sometimes we take a little side trip in the middle of the show. You know, we might go down a little rabbit hole real quick, check things out, see what's happening around the internet. And other places I'm at, I'm on BYB. If you look up BYB podcast, you'll find me there. Dylan from Somewhere on Tuesday nights, we hang out, we do watch-alongs. And right here on Annie's channel, I like to do this. I yap about video games with everybody. So give me a follow, and I will follow you back for sure.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. If you want to find anything else that I'm working on, you know where to find me. You can go to insanity.com, insanity.com. And until then, we'll see you next time.
Bye.